Your morning just got more interesting. Distilled and barrel-picked for your listening pleasure. Bo Bishop, a local sports media legend. What William T. Sherman was to the Union Army, he is to Northern College football. A husband, a father, and middling youth sports coach. He's friends with Central Ohio sporting royalty.
I'm talking to Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bjork and Coach Day walking on with us right now. Good to see you, buddy. Good buddy Austin Ward. My good buddy Tim May, the Tim May Show. The great Doug Lavery is joining us.
Hi, everybody. Dom Tiberi here.
Oh, Reese came in and he handed me papers.
Yeah,
and then he said, "You see that button? That's the only button you need to worry about. Don't touch. There's 8,000 buttons in front of me." Oh, I didn't know what he was talking about.
The one that says, "Oh."
We blew the budget on this imaging, and only two guys answered our ad on Craigslist. Ryan Baker and Eric Reeser. Act accordingly. You're now listening to Bishop and Friends.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years.
All right, let's do it live on a Thursday edition of the program. Bo and the boys with you for the next three. We'll hit your emails at 10 o'clock. Paul Finebaum dropping by, as is customary, at 10:30. A little higher, lower at 11 o'clock. Shelley time at 11:30. Be interesting to talk to Paul about what he heard from the SEC side of it from yesterday's meetings down in New Orleans. We'll get into what we heard from our side of it coming up at 9:30. I did want to start with the idea of patriotism. We have USA Canada tonight at 8 o'clock, and I'll be pretty revved up for this one. I think most of us out there will be. This has crossed over from the diehard hockey audience into a little bit of a bandwagon thing that can happen when you start to get a little word of mouth going. And I think a big reason that the word of mouth came is the way that the previous game with USA and Canada started with the three fights and right out of the gates. I mean, I think that set the table, and then that game was a classic, and then we won. That's the other part of it. Like, if Canada wins 3-1, I don't know that you see this excitement because Canada is this super team. They are the inventors of the sport. And so this is what they do better than anybody else. So for us to beat them is so rare. And then for it to happen in a showcase like this added fuel to the fire. Now, what happened in the round robin is not going to mean a whole lot if you don't win the game tonight. And I was thinking a little bit about the patriotism side of it and thinking about the times that you root for Old Glory the most when it comes to sports. And the instances that I thought of off the top of my head were the 2010 Olympic final in Vancouver. That was us against them. That's the one, Aginla, Crosby, game winner in overtime. Canada beats United States in the 2010 Olympic final. I remember being pretty jacked up about that. If memory serves, that was the last event of the 2010 Olympics in Vancouver, the Winter Olympics. I think it was that, and then closing ceremonies, if memory serves, and then that's it. So that one had a lot of juice to it. There was obviously a time change wasn't a problem. It wasn't something that happened in the middle of the night, which sometimes happens with some Olympic coverage. So that one came to mind. The other thing that really came to mind was the 2002 World Cup. So the 2002 World Cup, we beat Mexico 2-0, 2-0, in a quarterfinal game. I was in Tallahassee, Florida at the time. That World Cup took place in South Korea. So those games would happen at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I was not married. I did not have kids. That was my sweet spot. 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, baby. Let's go. I was doing nights on news. That's easy. So I remember that one very vividly. The other things that came to mind are like, of course, Balboa versus Drago comes to mind in the 1980s. I mean, anytime you send a Philadelphia slightly undersized heavyweight champ to Moscow to go fight a Russian superhero who is unbeatable, and then to do it for free, that's going to check a box of as patriotic as you could be. Now, you could not watch that one. So that one, you just had to read the tales of it. There was no way to watch that one live. The Soviet Union was not doing closed circuit television in those days in the mid-'80s, so they were a true adversary. And then I thought of Red Dawn. I mean, anytime you get Russian invasion, that's going to bring out the patriotism. On a serious note, the other one that probably hit it the most was George W. Bush stepping up to on the mound and delivering a straight strike after 9/11. That one jumped to mind. The one thing that's tricky about patriotism with us in sports is we're usually the best at everything. That's a very American thing to say, but usually when it comes to athletics, we are the favorite. There aren't many instances where we are the true underdog. And in team sports, kind of the two things that jump to mind are hockey, where Canada has been superior, and they should be, and soccer. That's the other one where we can't ever really get to the point of that having that type of patriotism. Dom text hands down Miracle on Ice. Buddy, I'm 2. I don't recall the Miracle on Ice. Dom.
Well, he does.
I got nothing on it. I know he was probably there. That was tape delayed. Miracle on Ice is obviously the answer to it, but the Miracle on Ice was tape delayed. It was obviously Lake Placid Olympics. I think most people remember it more from the movie now than the events of the actual Do You Believe in Miracles and all of that. I think it's the Mike Eruzione and all of that stuff. There was a time that if you are around my age that used to get like VHSs of great moments in sports with your Sports Illustrated subscription, and it was on that all the time. You'd see the clips of it. But I don't know anybody who actually watched it live. I think it's one of those things where it gets retold because you couldn't. It was tape delayed. How many people even watched it tape delayed? Or did you just hear about it? The Miracle on Ice. I'd have to talk to somebody. Maybe Dom could weigh in and he could tell you if he actually remembered watching it tape delayed or not. But the thing that it has to be, and the Miracle on Ice absolutely is this, you've got to be the underdog for the patriotism to really come through. It doesn't work when you're the dream team. It doesn't work in hoops. It doesn't work in a lot of the other things, but it works. It doesn't work that much in swimming. It doesn't work that much in some of the other Olympic sports where we typically kind of handle our business. In hockey, it works. We're the underdog. In soccer, it works. We're the underdog. So it takes those type of things, I think, for it to really come out of you. And so I think you're going to have a lot of that tonight in this one.
Bo, you're talking about all that, and I remember it was 2016 Olympics, and it might have been the last time that NHL players played in the Olympics. The USA took on Russia, and it was like a 7 or 7:30 start time in the morning here for live. And I remember going to the R Bar down by the arena that morning. They had like a huge watch party for this. And I getting there at like 7 o'clock in the morning, and there's a line down the street for people to get in. Now, obviously, it's a big-time hockey bar, but I just remember being in there, and I've talked about this before on the show. That's the game that went down to the multiple shootouts, and it was Bobrovsky versus Oshie the whole time.
Oh,
And I just remember people in there, Blue Jackets fans that hate TJ Oshie, screaming at the top of their lungs and rooting for TJ Oshie, and it was such a weird, surreal feeling. But that whole that feeling of getting behind the USA and patriotism, I don't know if I've ever seen that like that in my life. It was crazy.
That was one of those things that every time I think back to 2014 in Sochi, I think and then the Americans won gold. It's like, no, I think they just advanced into the quarterfinals. Like the Miracle on Ice, I think, was to advance to the gold medal game.
Correct.
Yeah, it was a semifinal.
Because you just think so fondly of it, more so than any other memory from sport. It's like, it feels like, and then they had the victory parade.
Oh yeah, they blow past the Finland. We played Finland in the final. You blow past that in 80. So the TJ Oshie shootout, what year is that?
That would have been 2016, if I remember correctly.
I thought it was 14 in Sochi.
Okay, maybe it was 14.
It was in Russia.
Yeah.
Okay. Sochi. Okay, that makes sense. I remember that vividly. I remember the Oshie. I absolutely remember the Oshie shootout with Bob. I don't remember hating the Russians that bad then. It seemed like we were kind of they weren't quite as aggressive as they are now. Maybe, I don't know. It seemed like, and Bob was in net, and like, so I remember that one vividly. I do. And I think the one common theme though you have to have is you have to have the idea of underdog. And there aren't that many instances where we're that. And I think it would be a hell of a thing to win tonight. Be a hell of a thing to beat them.
Well, when they win, it will be a hell of a thing, right?
Yeah. And the atmosphere's going to be nuts. Bob weighs in. If you go back and watch one of the relays to get Phelps his record-breaking gold, we were not favored in our final leg. Was swimming the fastest freestyler in the world when we came back at 1, and that was pretty. Yeah, there were some of those. I can't remember if that. It feels like that's the Aussies, though, right? Were we dealing with them at that time? They were usually the best at that.
There was only like one or two other countries whenever Michael Phelps was the underdog.
Yeah, they're not much. Yeah, there's very, very rare that that's the case. But I don't even know is there a line on this one tonight? Is it a pick 'em? Canada, USA? Like, I think Canada's favored, even though we beat them 3-1.
Yeah,
like,
both. It's again the layperson Eric. They're both minus 110.
Okay, yeah,
on the money line.
Yeah, so going to be fun. It's in Boston, which is only going to add fuel to it. That's going to be absolutely bonkers to have the pro USA crowd that you're going to have in Boston for that one. I can't imagine how hard the ticket is. The big takeaway from this for me is how cool this is. It's incredibly magnanimous of NHL owners to allow for their players to do this, to play this type of a hotly contested series in the middle of their season. We'll ask Jody about that coming up in a little bit of Shelley time at 11:30 as he'll preview the game for us. So that's something to kind of also be appreciative of, that they saw that there was an opportunity here. They took full advantage of it. And then the other thing that it had to do, it's one thing to play a Four Nations tournament. It's another thing if you don't get USA Canada in the final. You did. So getting that only adds to it. So it's going to be a powder keg tonight, and certainly one of those things that crosses over from the diehard hockey fan to really the sport fan we'll be watching tonight. And can they build on that? The next big thing that we will be paying attention to will be the Stadium Series game. Obviously, Jack gets back to work on Saturday, but the Stadium Series game will take place about 10 days out. You have the Jackets and the Wings. Principals at Ohio State with some comments on what hosting it could look like and what it could mean for the future for the shoe. We'll get to that coming up next. We're off and running. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
We're known for three things: games, conversation, and Common Man yelling about things only he cares about. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Need inspiration? Shop Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals with savings beyond low prices. Like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
You can save big on 12 packs of Coca-Cola, Pepsi, or 7-Up. Right now, select varieties are buy two, get two free with your card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Common Man here for Jermaine Lexus of Dublin and Easton. Are you looking for a new ride? And do you want the best experience and service in the city? Yes? Good. Go see my guys at Jermaine Lexus. The all-new 2025 TX is back in stock and arriving daily. Plus, they've got great 42-month leases for the 2025 NX350 all-wheel drive. It started at $399 a month. I have been a Jermaine customer for years, even before I started doing the commercials. If you're in the market, please do stop in. Jermaine Lexus, 2 locations, Dublin, Easton, JermaineLexus.com.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
It's Senior Day at the Schottenstein Center on Sunday, February 23rd at 12 p.m. Join Ohio State women's basketball at the Schottenstein Center to honor the seniors as they take on Purdue. Don't miss out on themed games, unforgettable fan experiences, and the ultimate Buckeye traditions. Buy your tickets and gear up for game day at ohiostatebuckeyes.com.
You hungry? You know you are. We got chicken fingers, crunchy, fries are golden crispy, baby. Yo, don't forget about the cane sauce, baby. Ooh, right here's the spot. Hello.
At Diamonds Direct, we believe luxury is an experience and not a price tag. Luxury is expert guidance. It's the selection of 10 jewelry stores under one roof. It's saving time on endless comparison shopping, and you'll only find this experience at Diamonds Direct. Our luxury showroom has it all backed by our lifetime warranties and our signature best price guarantee. Diamonds Direct is the perfect combination of luxury and value, so you don't ever have to compromise. Learn more at diamondsdirect.com. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
Welcome to Nada Yada Island.
Next on Metro's Nada Yada Island podcast. I almost fainted when the 4 new bombshells arrived. 4 free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G phones at Metro. No way. And finding out the 4th line is free. Oh, things got heated. That's wild. Join Metro and get 4 free Samsung 5G phones. Only at Metro.
Plus tax. Bring 4 numbers and an ID and sign up for any Metro Flex plan. Not available currently at T-Mobile or been with Metro in the past 180 days.
There's nothing like having Common Man and T-Bone resting on your bosom.
Oh, for someone with no breasts, you've done very well for yourself.
Gross. Pick up the latest T-shirt in the fan store or pick up merch from a show you actually like. We even have Ohio State and jacket stuff. Head to 971thefan.com.
Hi, the Scott Antique Markets are back again at the Ohio Expo Center, featuring hundreds of vendors with collectibles and merchandise from all over the world. The market is one weekend monthly, November through March. Build your family heirlooms. You can find everything that gets old. Just take I-71 to exit 111 to enjoy America's favorite treasure hunt. Visit thescottantiquemarket.com for more information. Come join us at the Ohio Expo Center for the Scott Antique Markets. It's huge. It's the Scott Antique Markets this weekend.
Feeling the aches and pains of everyday life slowing you down? Introducing Blue Emu, America's #1 emu oil formula for pain relief. In a recent clinical trial, 91% of users saw improvement after using Blue Emu. Whether you're working hard, playing harder, or just staying active, Blue Emu penetrates deep to relieve joint and muscle pain fast. And best of all, you won't stink. Join the 91% who felt the difference. Find Blue Emu at your local retailer or online. Blue Emu works fast and you won't stink.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
We are looking at a cloudy and dreary Thursday. A few snow showers can't be ruled out. Be careful as there will be some icy spots on the roadways. Today's high temperature will be 21. Cold tonight with a low of 16. Mostly cloudy tomorrow, high 29. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with your 10 weather impact forecasts on 97.1 The Fan.
News, opinions, and insight, all before breakfast. Rise and shine with Morning Juice.
Weekdays starting at 6.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. When General Sherman marched through Georgia, he was listening to this show.
Use your skills for good, young warrior.
This is Bishop and Friends.
Tyler on social mentioning Ryder Cup. I don't hate all of Europe. And it feels like we're not underdogs there. So, I mean, you're definitely pro us, but I think the underdog is the component, fellas. I think you have to have that.
Yeah, I also think the villains got a little or a lot of bit to do with it. And at no point I'm like, oh, boo, Rory McIlroy. That guy. Like, it's never for me been the Ryder Cup
Westwood
as a sense of pride. Justin Rose, maybe.
He's like the nicest guy ever.
But yeah, and I don't know.
Nicest guy ever.
But what year?
Ian Poulter, yeah, none of
Poulter, maybe. Yeah.
What year was it that the U.S. they were wearing those ugly maroon shirts?
Brookline.
Was it
Justin Leonard?
That was a quick pull.
Brookline.
I can't think of the guy's name that hit the putt.
Justin Leonard.
Yeah, Justin Leonard. He hit the putt. Mm-hmm. Maybe that really pulled it out because it was so close, and they made that come from behind and. That's the one Ryder Cup that I remember that sticks out for that kind of thing.
Yeah, in the old days, they used to do like Davis Cup and stuff, and Grand Slam finals. Look, you're not going to convince me. There just isn't an adversary like the hammer and sickle of the Soviet Union. There just isn't. Like the song was menacing. The flag was terrible. Like, who puts a sickle and a hammer on a flag? Like, that was menacing. Their athletes looked menacing. When you would see them at the Olympics, you'd be like, my God, are these people created? Like, Ivan Drago wasn't far off. Wasn't that far off. Like, that's what their people looked like when they saw him. I didn't see this one live, but Alexander Karelin was an all-time wrestler, heavyweight wrestler, Olympic wrestler, probably the greatest wrestler in the history of the sport. And there was... The American who beat him Rulon Gardner beat him in the Olympic final, and it was the wrestling equivalent of the Miracle on Ice. I don't think I'm overstepping. The wrestling people can correct me, but I don't think that's overstepping. Like, nobody ever beaten Karelin ever, and he beat him in an Olympic final. So that's one that jumps out. But I didn't watch that one live. I want to say that Olympics took place. I think that was the Sydney Olympics when he beat him, and so it was the other side of the world. So you heard about it the next day, but it wasn't like, oh, you got to watch this thing live. It didn't have that type of feel to it. All right, we've got outdoor hockey at the Shoe, which is coming up in about 10 days. You got the Blue Jackets and the Wings in this one. We had Bake, you were there. You had what did you have? A little stadium tour yesterday?
Yeah, so they're having like a media availability there all week, and Ross Bjork and Ted Carter both talked about the event yesterday, and then we got to go down on the field. And the first thing that really stood out to me with all that, Bo, is and I haven't been down on the field at the Shoe maybe since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And, gosh, it's massive. Like, you forget just how big the place is, just standing there and looking around and, just how huge the Shoe is, and then seeing the size of the ice rink where they're going to put it, because they're starting to construct all of that compared to the size of the football field. It's crazy. It's just amazing how much bigger a football field is than that hockey rink. But it was just kind of cool seeing it there. The guys working on it, the forklifts, driving pieces of stuff in and out of the Shoe to where the workers were. And then we got to go out. One of the guys from the NHL took us out to see they have 2 huge semi-trailers that they call them their ice trucks, and how they're going to pump all this water, and they're going to have it a certain temperature in these trucks, and they pump it out into the field. It was just really cool to kind of see all that behind the scenes, see it at the beginning, and then going to see the finished product. It'll be pretty nice.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that we've clamored for a long time. One of the fears that I think a lot of us had about it is, and I think maybe the trepidation from the NHL and why it took so long to do it, is you needed the Blue Jackets to be worthy of it, right? I mean, you needed them to be a team that could be showcased. The venue is going to showcase itself. Now, the venue, as I've said many, many times, and Reese wants to absolutely bury the thing, and he might be right, the venue needs a lot of work. So that's another part of this conversation is when you go in there, you're like, God, this is an old building. And when you start thinking about the improvements that are necessary, not that are improvements that, boy, it'd be nice to have this, like necessary improvements that have to get there. It's a big, big task for Ross Bjork and the folks at Ohio State to get that done. So Bjork was one of the guys available yesterday, Ted Carter as well. Here is Ross on the idea of showcasing the Shoe for the NHL world.
Yeah, we're over a 100-year-old stadium, and we want the stadium to be here for eternity, right? I mean, that's the goal. And so, again, to showcase the history of what it means to be a Buckeye, I know the NHL is really embracing that, whether it's pregame events, whether it's, different logos around the field. I think the ice is going to have a special feature around Ohio State. So all of those elements to be able to show off not only the stadium, but also the brand power of Ohio State, coupled with the NHL, coupled with the Blue Jackets, I think just tells a great message and a great storytelling moment, for all of us, especially in a historic stadium like this.
You would know better than me. I wasn't paying as close of attention. When they had the outdoor games at the Big House, was there a push about the University of Michigan, or is it just this is a suburb of Detroit, basically? I don't recall any tie-ins with the University of Michigan.
I don't personally remember any either. And maybe they're doing that more here because the Shoe is such an iconic venue, and you have the whole Columbus, Detroit, Ohio, Michigan type thing. Maybe they're jumping into that a little more because of that.
Yeah, all of those things could be, but the idea of putting Ohio State front and center with the National Hockey League, that's different to the other outdoor games that they've done. Here's Bjork on kind of pushing that narrative that the NHL really wants to embrace the Ohio State side of this.
As far as the elements of it around tying in the Buckeyes and Ohio State, that was all the NHL, right? They really wanted to embrace that. I think they've done that in other venues. We've seen that. They really wanted to tie in the mystique of Ohio State, the Buckeye brand, the elements, the skull session. Right? I don't think they're calling it skull session, but it's the same thing. It's a pep rally before the game, and they wanted to. And what happened was they came and watched a couple football games, and they saw that, and they said, we need to replicate some of those elements. The team walking down the ramp, all of those things. So to me, that's a way just to partner, and again, it adds to the storytelling elements of this whole platform.
That's really cool.
Are they going to walk down the tunnel on skates?
As long as there's a rubber runner.
You got to be safe there.
Yeah. If you have the rubber runner, you should be okay to do that. That's a big win on that side of it. All they need is the weather to cooperate. That's kind of it. And I think the only thing that always made me a little hesitant about March 1st around here is, that's when you get your 38 rain snow mix stuff. And so as long as it's not rain, I think you're going to be fine.
And yesterday down there talking with one of the representatives from the NHL, the only thing they're worried about right now is rain.
Yeah.
Because the 6 o'clock start, they've taken the sun element out of this. The temperature in the 40s, they said, is just about perfect for them. They said they could do this in the single digits. They said they could do this all the way up to 70 degrees with their technology. What? So the thing they're worried about is sun and rain. The start time takes the sun out of it. So now it's all about the rain on March 1st.
And it looks, again, this is just right now, 24% chance of rain, high of 40, low of 23. The sunset is projected for 6:24 p.m. Okay, like that's.
I mean, that'd be unbelievable if you get a day like look. Let's play like Schwarzenegger's kid in White Lotus. It's a numbers game. The odds are there's not going to be any sun, so you should be fine there. The rain would be the thing that could be tricky. So. As long as they don't get that, it should be great. I do think that when you go in there, and Bake, you were just there, and I had this experience when I was there for the game this season when I took the kids to the Nebraska game. I don't even I can't. When you build a house, you have like a punch list at the end, and it's like, here are all of the, you'd like do a walk around the house. You're like, here are all of the things that you got to sort out before we're closing on this thing. What is Ross Bjork's punch list at Ohio Stadium? Is it 1,000 pages? I mean, the thing needs a complete renovation. There are modern amenities that it lacks that have to be done immediately. And that's, I'm sure you had that experience, Bake. Like, it's like, wait, what are we doing here? Like, there has to be a way. And this is this is his job one. It's not conference expansion. It's how can he modernize the shoe while also monetizing the shoe. That's the job. And I think he's got the trickiest job of anybody who's had his job with that in the modern era of sports. You have a cathedral, but the cathedral needs a new coat of paint, and it probably needs some additions, and it needs to have some Wi-Fi, and it needs to have some other things in order to keep up with everybody else. And that is a monster job for him. All the while in an ever-changing landscape of college football. Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti met down in New Orleans. Some of the whispers that are coming out of that, including a pretty wild plan both of them have. And if they're both saying this out loud, it's more than just a test balloon in terms of what college football championship weekend could be. We will have those details for you in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Newman Roofing has been in business for over 30 years, so they know a thing or two about your roofing, gutter, and siding needs, and will ensure every detail is covered from start to finish. So call Newman Roofing today, the company built around family, at 614-NEW-ROOF, or visit online at newmanroofing.com.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Come cheer on the Ohio State Buckeyes men's basketball team as they take on the Northwestern Wildcats at the Shot on February 20th. Don't miss out on themed games, unforgettable fan experiences, and the ultimate Buckeye traditions. Buy your tickets and gear up for game day at ohiostatebuckeyes.com.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
What's up?
What's up, man? What's up with you?
Sponsored by High Bank Distillery, home of the best blended whiskey in America. Grab a bottle or dine in at their 3 restaurant locations, Grandview, Gahanna, and now in Westerville. Drink local. Drink High Bank.
And here's what's up on a Thursday edition of the program. Yesterday down in New Orleans, the SEC and the Big Ten met. Tony Petitti, Greg Sankey met to decide the future of the sport. Now, they will masquerade as if we have to take this to our partners because they meet next week on the college football playoff. I think that's in Dallas. They meet next week with all of the rest of the conference commissioners, and Greg Sankey was adamant yesterday in his comments. This has got to be unanimous. Like, everyone's got to approve it. You can say that outwardly, but quite honestly, like, approve it or we will go at this without you. It's really going to be that simple. They have all of the cards. They have all the money. They have all the television partners. And the thing that's being kicked around the most is 4 automatic bids for the SEC and the Big Ten, and then potentially 2 automatic bids for the ACC and the Big 12. And then, so that gets you to what? You're at 8, you're at 12, and then 4, you get a group of 5, and then 3 more, which are at large, which we made up mostly of SEC and Big Ten teams. I think that's probably the way that this thing goes when you get to 16 teams eventually by 2026. Now, you could also go to 14, and that would be an even bigger percentage of teams representing the SEC and the Big Ten because they're getting their 4. The most radical thing that has come out of this, and we saw this floated yesterday from the Big Ten side of it, and now we see it yesterday from Greg Sankey. And this is reporting in The Athletic from Seth Emerson and Scott Docterman. We've had Scott on a lot. And one of the things that they are discussing is changing championship weekend. So what the SEC is considering are a couple of formulas, and the Big Ten is following suit. The one that the Big Ten, according to their reporting, is most interested in is the top 2 seeds in the Big Ten are in automatically, and they are not playing in a conference championship game. So what championship game weekend in the Big Ten would be is a 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5 scenario. Okay? So you're adding play-in games for the last 2 automatic bids. Now, if you're out there listening, you'll wait a second. There's still at-large bids that could be on the line, right? Yep, for sure. So you're going to have 4 teams in your league play a highly leveraged game because, quite honestly, they need the inventory and they want to sell the inventory because they want to make more money, and that's a whole nother conversation. That's what that would be about. So this past year, what that would have meant for the Big Ten would have meant that Penn State and Oregon would have received the automatic buys into the college football playoff, right? So then what that would have done is it would have created those 3 versus 6 and 4 versus 5 situations in the Big Ten Conference. So obviously Ohio State, we would have been playing that weekend. I'm going to pull it up right now just to get an exactly of what it would have looked like had it taken place this year. So it would have been Oregon would have been the 1, Penn State the 2, Indiana the 3, Ohio State the 4 against Illinois. Indiana would have played Iowa. So Ohio State would have played a game against Illinois to play into the college football playoff, and then Indiana would have had to play Iowa as a play-in game for the college football playoff. Now, what the SEC is floated is, quite honestly, even more radical. This has been discussed. Their athletic directors have talked about it. 4 play-in games. So they're thinking about going number 1 versus number 8, 4 and 5, 2 and 7, and 3 and 6, and creating their own playoff. Florida athletic director Scott Strickland was in New Orleans. He said it's one of the ideas that's on the table. Alabama athletic director Greg Byrne. We'll see what happens. I mean, they're talking about this, man. They're absolutely talking about doing this. I just don't understand how you can add more high-leveraged games to your league. And I understand that the money, that's what the money's for. I get it. But, God, how many games are you going to play that are slobber knockers for 18 to 22-year-olds? Because by the time you're done with this championship weekend to win a national title, you're still going to have to play 4 more games that are throat punch, gut punch you in the mouth games. Illinois athletic director Josh Whitman said yesterday, one of the things that we're going to continue to prioritize is trying to find ways to make our regular season as exciting as can be. How can we keep as many fan bases engaged into November? How can we create meaningful football games in November? So any ideas that strike at that are things that are going to have to be worth having a conversation about. I think you got to be very careful here. I do. I think this is a very slippery slope to add this many more high-leveraged competitive games after playing a regular season that already has them. If the SEC would have done this last year, my goodness, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You would have had Texas Ole Miss. You would have had Georgia A&M. You would have had Tennessee, South Carolina, and Alabama, LSU. So Alabama, LSU is going to play first weekend in November, and then they're going to run it back first weekend in December for the right to be in. And if Texas is bounced, then they're in the – why would you add that high leverage? I asked the question. I know the answer. It's money. It's money. It's trying to squeeze more juice out of the fruit is what it is. It's really greedy. And to me, it feels like a bridge that is too far and not necessary.
What the hell would you do with Notre Dame in that scenario?
Well, they would be one of the team. That's funny. They actually talk about that in some of the reporting, that Notre Dame would be allowed to have one of those. So this would take place outside of the college football playoff race. This would be separate. So this is
what does this get branded? Like you can brand it your conference championship eliminator tournament, or
it's a bunch of old guys that don't understand, I don't think, what it means to play at that level and to do it week in and week out and just get.
Tony Petitti is a television producer at his core. He's the TV guy. This is like when you log on to whatever streaming service you use and they go, wow, again with the reality television, huh?
Yeah.
We've already talked about this run that Ohio State had. And obviously it's the first time, but it's the greatest run in history, these 4 games. Now you're going to say Ohio State would have had to play 6 games to do this? Like, to me, if you're the Big Ten, you're almost taking away one of your chances to win a national championship, because how many teams can run a 6-game gauntlet like that?
It would be 5, I think, Bake, because I don't think they're going to do a tournament. I think they're doing winner in. Is what they're like. It wouldn't be a true bracket. It would be
okay. I got you.
4 versus 5 to get in, 3 versus 6. The winners are in, and then the others are still in consideration for at large. According to the reporting from Doctorman, the Big Ten floated this first. So this is the Big Ten driving this. And while the SEC was slower to get on board, the league is now believing that something could be happening. Joe Castiglione, longtime athletic director at Oklahoma, the conversations were really creative, innovative, and robust. Ended up with several suggestions that will provide our leadership, our commissioners, as they go forward with a couple of key meetings in the next couple of weeks. Be careful to not do too much. You talk about the regular season still mattering. You talk about keeping as many fan bases engaged as possible. I get it. But can Alabama LSU matter if you're playing it again in 3 weeks? I just don't.
It's impossible.
Buy it. I don't buy it. And all of a sudden you're in the top 8, and then you can play your way in. I just don't. You remember how pissed off Kirby Smart was at the SEC title game?
He's 5 feet from Sankey. If he could, he would have lit him on fire.
Yeah.
Like that would have been the physical manifestation of Dracarys.
Yeah.
He was so mad with how the SEC, while trying to play the best hits and try to create the best television shows, crushed his roster.
Buried him.
And that's something every single week that he had to think about. And that's, I mean, not every single week, but every single hour of every single day. You're constantly worried about those guys.
There's a balance that need to be struck by these two conferences between greed and quality. I understand the greed part. Give us more money. And I understand why they're chasing it, because their booster bases are taxed from funding NILs and trying to pay for improvements at stadiums and everything else that comes with running a big-time program. And you got a bunch of varsity sports, a bunch of scholarship sports that need funding. So I get it. I understand why they're looking for more money. But don't kill the golden goose in the process. Don't do that. And to me, playing a 11-game regular season, playing a play-in game, and then playing a 4-team playoff, you're talking about what would amount to 5 highly leveraged games if you're to win it. That's survival is all that is. After a regular season that potentially is going to have even more slobber knockers in it because there's going to be, I think there's no question, there's going to be SEC Big Ten scheduling partnerships. So your views of what success in the regular season used to be, 11-1. I mean, we dealt with it this year. Buckeyes go 10-2. It's fine. It's fine. Won the Natty. It's fine. You're going to have to get used to 9-3. You'll have to get used to 8-4. And you're going to have to be able to look at it and say, yeah, but look what they played. I mean, in the scenario that they laid out, if it was last year, an 8-5 Texas A&M team would have been playing Georgia to get an automatic bid. After playing the season that Georgia played, then you got to go play them. Now, even if they lost, they'd probably still get in. Just be careful. They won't be because they'll chase the money.
Bull in a china shop.
It is. Yeah, it absolutely is. It is a very slippery slope that they're sliding down, in my opinion. All right, we got pro sports back tonight. We got the Buckeyes. This is a nice little television sports night. You got the Buckeyes and Northwestern at 6:30, and then you've got the Four Nations at 8 o'clock. So you'll be able to kind of watch them both if you would like to tonight. We'll get you set for the return of sports after the All-Star weekend on the NBA side of things, and a full engagement coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Head to 971thefan.com to listen on demand and subscribe to all our podcasts. Wasting time has never been easier. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
After I drop the kids off, I have to run across town for a meeting, hit the gym during lunch. Jake has soccer tonight, and Emily has gymnastics? Oh, did I turn on the crock pot this morning?
With a never-ending to-do list, it's easy to forget something important, like setting up a life insurance plan with Shelter Insurance. Your local Shelter agent can show you how to create a safety net for your family. Don't let life get in the way of what's most important. Visit shelterinsurance.com to learn more. Shelter Life Insurance Company, Columbia, Missouri.
It's Senior Day at the Schottenstein Center on Sunday, February 23rd at 12 p.m. Join Ohio State women's basketball at the Schottenstein Center to honor the seniors as they take on Purdue. Don't miss out on themed games, unforgettable fan experiences, and the ultimate Buckeye traditions. Buy your tickets and gear up for game day at ohiostatebuckeyes.com.
Mark your calendars for Diamond Seller's Wedding Weekend, February 21st and 22nd. Hi, it's Alex Johnson from the Diamond Seller. Wedding Weekend is back with incredible offers you won't want to miss. Join us for buy one, get one half off wedding bands, 20% off diamond anniversary bands, and special no-interest financing on engagement rings. We've had the guaranteed best price for over 78 years. So choose a jeweler you can trust and come see us February 21st and 22nd at Diamond Seller on Salmo Road or at Easton Town Center.
Master Grillers Unite. The grilling season never ends at Billiards Plus. Come see their best-in-class grills for yourself and check out Central Ohio's largest selection of pool tables, game furniture, and shuffleboard. Family-owned and operated. Billiards Plus on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin.
My Perks Appreciation Days, February 21st and 22nd at Giant Eagle. We're saying thanks with 500 bonus perks on $75 on a single transaction February 22nd at Giant Eagle or Market District. Restrictions apply. Visit gianteagle.com/appreciation for details.
Get President's Day deals all month long at Coughlin Chevrolet, Central Ohio's #1 Chevy dealer. Lease a new 2025 Chevy Trax, only $149 a month. Or a new 2025 Trailblazer, just $169 a month. At all 5 Coughlin Chevy locations and CoughlinChevrolet.com. Together, let's drive.
36 and 42-month leases, 10,000 miles per year, 25 cents per mile over, $39.99 due at signing plus tax, title, and license. See dealer for details. Ends 3/3/25.
Hey there, friends. Bo Bishop here. As football winds down, college basketball is gearing up, and fans are ready to see which teams will prove they are ready to shine in March and who will be seen in San Antonio. You can get in all the action from tip-off to the final whistle at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Right now, new ESPN Bet Sportsbook customers can bet $10 and get $100 back in bonus bets and unlock 30 days of ESPN Plus. Download the app. Sign up with the promo code Radio100 to get started today. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Care Heating and Cooling. When you need a company you can trust, call 1-800-COOLING.
We at The Fan have created a show where you can be a homer, a hater, or whatever you want to be. Your family may not listen to you, but we will. Sundays at 11, it's The Fan Call-In Show presented by ESPN Bet at Hollywood Casino Columbus. You're welcome.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Being young with unlimited energy to burn. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think you could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
All guys lose their edge when they turn 40. The body has less testosterone. That's why I take Nugenix Total T.
I've heard about Nugenix. That really works?
Since I started taking Nugenix, I'm lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. I feel more energized at work. It's even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try?
Yep, send a text. It's that easy.
Text GRIT to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. It's the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and they'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text GRIT to 42424. That's GRIT to 42424. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
All your favorite fan shows are available when you want them.
Head to 971thefan.com and hit that subscribe button.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Producers, co-hosts, friends, some of those things are true. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
The great Snagglepuss on Twitter. It's ridiculous listening to the college football playoff thing. They're overcomplicating everything because they're turning it into a mental, I won't say all that, swinging contest. That's what playing the game is for. Also bring back the BCS rank. I think all of us, that's the simplest. Just do BCS rankings 1 through 16, 1 plays 16, go. Go. If you feel like you have to run the college football, the conference championship games one weekend because you still have television partners that want them, then I guess you got to do that. Fine. I wouldn't put the onus on it if I was a coach, I'll tell you that. But if you have to do that, then fine. But just go 1 through 16, seed them 1 through 16, no buys, everybody plays, and away you go. That's it. I don't think you have to. I think the Big Ten and the SEC worrying about automatic qualifiers is kind of silly because I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think they'd both be just fine. So I think worrying about guaranteed to have 4 in, you're going to have 4 in. You're both going to have 4 in 16 minimum. Probably both will have 5 or 6. I wouldn't worry about it. I understand why they're doing it, but I think they're overcomplicating it with this play-in tournament thing that they're trying to create too. And I think they're putting an onus on coaches that is quite honestly untenable. We've already seen a mass exodus of assistants and coaches either retiring from the sport or heading to the NFL if the opportunity presents. There will be more of that. You cannot expect people to operate in this climate and then add more to it. It was borderline untenable the way that it was. And that was with a 12-team playoff and a calendar that's completely broken. By the way, no mention of that. No mention of the calendar getting fixed.
Yeah, that was really weird that in any of the reporting from yesterday's meeting, you saw no mention.
None.
Of how to fix this calendar, which I think is the first place it's the first place you should start. I see a lot of people in our YouTube chat talking about solutions to this. Really, the first place you have to start in the real world is it going to make us more money? Because if the answer to that question is no, then you're not going anywhere. But that's why you have the idea about the play-in to the playoff. Because it's going to make you more money. Bleep what happens to the players' bodies. Bleep what happens to the coaches and their time. Bleep everything else because the money is what we're worried about here because you have a bunch of television people trying to plan this.
Yeah, and what they're trying to do with this play-in games is rather than one Big Ten game to sell on that Saturday, we can sell 2. Rather than one SEC game on that Saturday, we can sell 4. And our partners will give us more money for that. Which sucks.
And they will. They will pay.
Yeah. They absolutely will. Buckeyes back at it tonight. They host Northwestern on the hardwood, 6:30. Fan pregame, 5:30 on the tip for that. So this works out pretty well the weather sucks. So from a television viewing standpoint, you got this at 6:30. Then you got the hockey at 8 o'clock. So this is going to feed one right into the other. Northwestern is bad. This is obviously a must win. Jake Diebler knowing that a tournament bid is on the line tonight and quite honestly for the foreseeable future.
I don't think you can pretend stuff doesn't exist or hide from it, but you don't need to I don't need to remind our guys every day that every game we play in is a big game. They know that. We talked about it. We talked about the challenges that come with that and managing that. And then we talked about how you manage it well as you focus on having a great day. And that's what we're doing. If you don't play well, you don't really have a chance. You got to play well, and you got to set yourself up to play well. I also think it's important for guys to know the reality of our situation. It's positive. And they need to know that too.
Yeah, I mean, it is. When you look at the most recent bracketology, you're still in. You're a 9 seed. According to Lenardi, they're not even on the bubble, despite being under 500 in conference play. I am dubious to think that you can lose a whole lot more in the league and still get in. And I do think it's very critical. I've said this before. I think it's really important for Jake to get to the postseason in year one. And I'm not talking about the NIT. I think it's important to get to the big dance. I think getting to the big dance allows for everything that comes with that, the showcase for the program. It's something that's going to help in recruiting. Bruce Thornton's been here a long time. It's time to play in the big one and to make that run. And I think if you do that, it gives confidence that the program is heading in the right direction. Jake commented on that adamant that the program is on the right track. But I think, to me, in order to really put a bow on that, you need to get to the big dance.
We've clearly moved forward. We've taken a step forward. How big of a step? Well, we'll see how the season ends up. But I think we have taken a step forward, and that's a good thing. But we got a lot to play for right now, and my focus is on beating Northwestern. Then we got to get ready for the next one, a nice little fun trip out to LA. So that's the focus, but I think we have done some things to establish what this program is going to be like moving forward, a good foundation as part of year one. And, we'll see at the end of the season, kind of evaluate that. That's the time for that. But the goals are the goals for this program. The standard's the standard. I've been vocal about what I think that is, and we're going to continue working every single day to get there.
Yeah, in order to get right now they're on a track of win one, lose one, win one, lose one, win one, lose one. So if you follow that pattern, you win tonight against Northwestern. It's one they have to have. And then he mentioned that trip out west. And this is one of those times where it's like you almost forget what you agreed to until you remember what you agreed to, because I'm guessing that the last thing Jake Diebler wants to do, although the weather will be nice out there, is take this team on what amounts to like an NBA road trip, which is what they're going to have. They're going to play at UCLA on the 23rd, and then they will play at USC on the 26th. By the way, that USC game is a 10:30 tip on BTN. There's your fourth window that we've talked about so much. Right now, with 5 to play, Northwestern at UCLA, at USC, Nebraska at home, at Indiana. That's it. They got 2 home games left. 3-2 to me in that 5 is the minimum requirement to stay where they're at. I think anything less than that, and you could be on the outside looking into this thing.
Especially those last 2, those need to be pride games for this team. And yeah. I know it's funny to hear Jake say, we can't say, we can't just ignore things that exist. This is a thing. We're going to be doing the schedule game for this team, and we've been doing the schedule game for the past 2 months, and they recognize that, and they understand. I know every single game gets put through is this a reflection of the team, and does that reflection say good enough to make the tournament, or unfortunately it's another NIT bid, and also trying to keep them on one game at a time. But that Nebraska-Indiana thing, both of those games in the previous meetings were just because January, December, you're not looking at games you must win that one, but you must not blow a lead to a team that's inferior to you if you want to do what he's saying and build towards a successful future.
Yeah, and both of those are, especially Nebraska, Indiana's a little buried a little bit, but they're going to be teams that you're contending with for those last spots. So how many teams get in under the Big Ten? You want to be out of those conversations. You need to have some wins here. Go ahead, real quick, Beck.
I was just going to say this is all great for this team, I believe, in their growth moving forward, because these last 5 games and probably the last 5 before, they're in tournament mode. Yeah, and they have to be.
They got to be. That's where they're at. We'll hit your emails coming up next. Second hour of the program. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Common Man has spent the past 18 years telling you how much he hates people. And yes, that probably means you, too. Common Man and T-Bone.
Weekdays at 3.
The Fan.
Save a good deal more at Meyer with bulk Gala, Fuji, or Pink Lady apples, just 99 cents a pound. Plus, during the 7 for $7 sale, you pay $1 each when you mix or match any 7 or more on participating items, like Meyer frozen vegetables, Bush's beans, Red Gold canned tomatoes, Meyer facial tissue, and Powerade sports drink. Getting more for your money with the Meyer 7 for 7 sale. Now that's the good life. Exclusions apply. See all deals in-store or in the Meyer app.
One of the things I had decided when I started the company was we were going to build the best window possible We were going to give the best service possible, and I think we've accomplished that. Our reputation is built on taking care of people and building a great window and then taking care of it afterwards. It's just a darn good window.
Visit Rosati Windows by the end of this month and get 35% off all windows and doors.
Hey, it's Leslie from Pella Columbus.
I'm Wilson from that other window place. Wait, Leslie, what is that dude doing over there at that window?
Well, that dude is Chase, and Chase is making that window look perfect. We're sticklers on detail, Wilson, both in our showroom and definitely in people's homes.
Chase, be careful. May have spilled some coffee over there just a bit ago.
Oh, he knows. He seems to work a lot more when you're around, Wilson. Get the window that homeowners rated the leading window brand in Columbus at PellaColumbus.com.
This is Hall of Famer number 275, Chris Carter. Buckeye born and bred. Ohio has been a huge part of my football career, from Friday nights in Middletown to Saturdays at the Shoe, and now all the way to Canton. Now I want you to experience football heaven, the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Go to 971thefan.com/goldjacket and enter to win a VIP experience to the home of professional football, the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Ignite the passion, relive the glory.
Common Man here for Jermaine Lexus of Dublin and Easton. Are you looking for a new ride? And do you want the best experience and service in the city? Yes? Good. Go see my guys at Jermaine Lexus. The all-new 2025 TX is back in stock and arriving daily. Plus, they've got great 42-month leases for the 2025 NX350 all-wheel drive that start at $399 a month. I have been a Jermaine customer for years, even before I started doing the commercials. If you're in the market, please do stop in. Jermaine Lexus, 2 locations, Dublin, Easton, JermaineLexus.com.
Let Diamond Seller's Blue Box be a part of your forever. Join us February 21st and 22nd for Wedding Weekend and save big on wedding and anniversary bands. Plus, enjoy special no-interest financing on engagement rings. Visit Diamond Seller on Sawmill Road or at Easton Town Center.
For the Blue Jackets, the magic happens on the ice. But for Blue Jackets fans looking for an amazing getaway, the real Florida magic is here in Central Florida's Polk County. From the natural beauty of Bok Tower Gardens to the all-ages fun at Legoland Florida Resort to the chance to do some luxurious glamping on a working dude ranch, it's all here. Even better, it's all just minutes from other area theme parks, too. Discover everything we offer and plan your trip to see the real Florida at visitcentralflorida.com today. Master Grillers Unite. The grilling season never ends at Billiards Plus. Come see their best-in-class grills for yourself and check out Central Ohio's largest selection of pool tables, game furniture, and shuffleboard. Family-owned and operated. Billiards Plus on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin.
Go beyond your field of study and get a world-class education in leadership. As an Army officer, you'll work side by side with peers who support your growth, and you'll become a role model, mentor, and decision maker in any environment, at any scale. It's a challenging path, but along the way, you'll sharpen your skills and show yourself and those around you exactly what you're capable of. Decide to lead at goarmy.com/officer.
The Ohio State University Army ROTC. Buckeyes lead the way.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code BUY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code BUY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code BUY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. USA and Canada in the Four Nations face-off final on the ice tonight in Boston. Face-off from the TD Garden is 8 p.m. The Americans won their round-robin matchup 3-1 last Saturday. Jackets defenseman Zach Werenski has had 5 assists in 3 games for the Americans. He'll be back on the ice at Nationwide Saturday versus the Chicago Blackhawks. Z could be joined on the bench by Boon Jenner and Kirill Marchenko. Both skated yesterday at practice for the Jackets and will be back on the ice this morning at 10:30. Jenner's missed the entire season after injuring his shoulder in camp, while Marchenko broke his jaw at the beginning of the month. In college hoops, Ohio State hosts Northwestern tonight at 6:30. You can hear that game on the Fan with pregame coverage at 5:30. The 8th-ranked Ohio State women's squad's at Indiana tonight at 7. Hear that one over on ESPN Columbus. This update is sponsored by BMI Federal Credit Union. Enjoy rates as low as 9.90% APR plus a special rate on balance transfers with a Visa Platinum credit card from BMI.
The uncle you never knew you had. The friends you kind of wish you didn't. This is Bishop and Friends.
This is a real headline from On3. New, semicolon, Miami's Carson Beck and Hannah Cavender had 3 vehicles stolen overnight in South Florida. Cavender's SUV was found, but Beck's Mercedes and Lamborghini remain missing.
Well, that answers your question earlier this week. Do you need those many vehicles? Do you need to have that? And riding around South Beach knowing like other athletes around the country like Joe Burrow are getting stuff stolen from them because they're flaunting it too much?
What college kid is living better than Carson Beck?
None.
Short list.
Man.
Short list. The thing there is no question that this is not what was intended with NIL. This is not what was intended. But at the same time, how can you begrudge somebody who takes what someone is willing to give? Nobody thought, I think we did. I remember Threes and I talking about this years ago. Like when this happened, there was going to be a wild influx of cash in the sport and you were going to have millionaires walking around campus. But I didn't think it would be this big, this quick, where you have multi-million-dollar, essentially yearly contracts representing college athletes. I mean, you knew the money was there, and you knew that boosters with the ability to weaponize their finances would be something that they would do. But it's hard to wrap your head around, really, that there's that type of wealth that is just given. That's just given to athletes as a way of getting them to go to the university. I mean, it's always happened under the table, but it's just the money is so much bigger than even I thought it would be right away. So much bigger. I did not think you'd have a bunch of multimillionaires running around campuses. I didn't, and you do.
Do you think Beck's Mercedes and or Lamborghini are Georgia Bulldog red, and they get those like wrapped to be Hurricanes colors?
I don't know where they came from. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, didn't Quinn Ewers have that too? Didn't he have a hookup with Lamborghini in Austin? Here's what I don't understand: if you're the Lamborghini dealer, now that's if it's a trade. Like if it's just, hey, here's a bunch of money, you want to buy a Lamborghini, buy a Lamborghini. Kids would want to do that. I get it. But on the trade, like, is Carson Beck driving a Lamborghini going to have people in South Florida going, oh, I want to be like Carson Beck?
Probably not in South Florida.
I don't see even in Athens, even less so in Athens. Like, what are we doing? Like, getting it shipped up from Atlanta? I'm guessing Athens doesn't have a Lamborghini dealer. I don't know. Fascinating stuff. Let's hit the mailbag.
Our comment box is always open. Any feedback is mostly appreciated.
The mail never stops. It just keeps coming and coming and coming. There's never a let up. It's relentless. Every day it piles up more and more and more, and you got to get it up. And the more you get out, the more it keeps coming in.
Bishop and Friends present emails.
All right, this one from our good buddy Greg from Botkins. The subject, college football getting greedy like NASCAR. Good morning, fellas. In the 90s and early 2000s, NASCAR dominated TV like an 8th grader who has failed 8th grade 3 times in dodgeball at gym class. But NASCAR watered down the sport by having too many races, starting in February, ending in October. NASCAR got greedy, and look where it landed them. My comparison to NASCAR is college football. Big Ten and the SEC want a guaranteed 4, 5, or 6, many the entire conference in the college football playoffs. Not one person wants to see Iowa versus Mississippi State. in the playoff. It's bad enough that the national championship game is played during the NFL playoffs. My question for you fellas is, greed kills all things good. Is college football headed down the same path NASCAR did by watering down the sport? I think we've already seen that to a certain extent. We already saw it. I mean, the ratings were kind of underwhelming for the college football playoff compared to, I think, what people thought that they would be. I think there were some people that thought that some college football games would outrate NFL games. They did not. Didn't happen. They benefited as much as you could have in the sense that you got Ohio State, Texas, and Ohio State, Notre Dame. What happens when you don't get those brands? What does that look like? In short, yes, I am concerned about it. I'm very concerned about it. I'm concerned about them chasing the almighty dollar to the ends of the earth and watering down a sport that one of the things that made it so unique and so special is that every game really mattered. And I am concerned. I think you should be. I think there's reason to be concerned.
I think there's definitely reasons to be concerned with the college football part of this. I think the NASCAR part of this, I would almost compare NASCAR more to baseball and the fact that people just don't have time to sit there and watch something for 3 and 4 hours when you can catch the few highlights, on your Sports Center or your social medias and whatnot. But I do think college, especially, we're talking about this thing with the Big Ten and having this 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5 to get in the extra game. I do think there is a problem when there's a CVS on every corner in your town. Like, how can they survive? You oversaturate the market.
It's this. I keep looking into like the Carson Beck thing and how it's the perfect example, right? There's just so much money, and they're just throwing $4 million at this guy to go for 1 year,
and he's not worth it.
No, but
he's worth it to them, I guess.
Right?
But there's no way there's an ROI on that for them. But the reason that they have to chase this is because they're boosters. They can't rely upon them to fund all the stuff they need on campus anymore because they got to fund the football teams,
right?
And the basketball teams and the Cavenders. So that's how you end up in this spot. The adults ruined it. I mean, that's just it. The adults ruined it.
I think if you're Miami and you somehow win a national championship next year, you get your return on investment, but anything else, it's not worth it.
Yeah, maybe. That would do it. That would be the ultimate ROI is to get that. But yeah, I think that they have. I think it's going to be really hard to right this ship. And I don't know that anybody who's in power has the stomach for it, quite honestly. I think most of them are trying to Band-Aid a hemorrhage. And it's too far gone for that. It takes radical change. And Congress sure as hell ain't going to save you. So that's where you're at with that thing. This one from Steve. Subject, surefire draft pick. 2 words in his message. Orlando Pace. We were having that conversation. Are there any sure things in the NFL draft? Yeah, Orlando Pace. I was obviously not here at that time. I have to imagine Pace was one of those guys that was known was going to click. But my counter to that would be my hunch is people said the exact same thing about Chase Young. That'd be my guess. Said the exact same thing about Jadeveon Clowney. So there just aren't any. Robert Gallery was a high pick. Tony Manders was a high pick on the offensive line. I mean, I remember Joe Thomas doing cartwheels about the Browns drafting Jed Wills. Like he couldn't believe they got him. And that has not worked. Right? I mean, to the point where he's not even going to be back.
Joe Thomas felt like one to me.
Yeah. It's
It was when Wisconsin was an O-lineman factory, and it was like, yeah, that'll do.
He's the best one. Best one.
The best of that group.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
One from that same draft that kind of seemed like that, too. Different position, but Adrian Peterson. He always kind of seemed like a sure thing.
I'm going to give you a running back that, to me, felt like a sure thing who was a total bust, and that was Trent Richardson.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought, how does Trent Richardson not... No one ever caught him from behind. And then he got to the league, and he couldn't see a hole to save his life, would not run to green grass, would not run where he was supposed... Just couldn't do it. So, I mean, yeah, it's the draft is... There are no sure things. So when people tell you that, just understand there aren't any.
So many busts for the Browns. So many.
We don't have
there
time.
But for a lot of teams... There are. No one's immune to it. Look at the Bengals' first-round picks the last few years. How many of those offensive linemen have not done anything?
The more we have this discussion, the more I think as a Browns fan, just get Travis Hunter and be fine for 10 years with him.
Just be safe.
Just be safe with it.
I don't think you can live that way, Reese. This one from Lowell. The subject, kid vomit life hack. Hi, Bo. I've had the same experience with one of my boys just standing there puking on the living room rug instead of finding a toilet or trash can. This won't help until you know they're actually sick. But those little tubs that your dishwasher pods come in can hold approximately the contents of a child's stomach. They have a lid, and you can throw them away. Better than a trash can or a mop or bucket or whatever the alternative is. Just save the next one when you're done with the pods. Stay healthy, friend. Lowell. That's a hell of a job, Lowell. That's a great job. I don't know how that saves me in the back of the car with Beamsy, but that is a fantastic job. And Beamsy aced it, as we discussed on Tuesday's show. But yeah, the idea that he's got the contents of a stomach, I think that's very solid. All right, this one from John. The subject is donuts. Gentlemen, any conversation regarding donuts starts and ends with the Amish. Those little shops inside 270 are cute with their puny pastries. However, the very best donuts are made by Eight Sisters Bakery, where the donut itself is larger than your head and you need to unhinge your jaw to take a bite. He says, next time you're headed up 71, take a pit stop at exit 151. This is like an advertisement for them. I'm going to have to do it. Take a right. You'll find Eight Sisters Bakery next to the Tesla charging station. They have excellent Boston creams, maple bacon-covered Long Johns, Oreo crumble Long Johns, and so much more. I highly recommend the Sweet Sister, although you'll need at least to fast for 24 hours in advance for that one. Your great friend, John. He's a great friend of the program. A Sweet Sister donut?
Can confirm Eight Sisters rocks. Like, even their bread's delicious. But the point he makes at the end's very good in that you're going to need a nap. And also to check your blood for diabetes. Because it's a pound of butter. If it's made by the Amish, like,
I feel like you had me at maple
delicious
bacon and Oreo crumble.
Also, the Amish bakery being next to the Tesla charging station. That didn't get lost on me.
That's pretty good, right? All right. I wanted to see what this Sweet Sister thing was that they're rocking out. What kind of donut is that? They don't really. Well, it's Amish. You're not going to get a
You're
website.
not getting the website.
No, I'm not going to be able to track it down.
It's delicious. So, yes, if you are going up I-70 towards what would be Mansfield, the past Mansfield to Cleveland, sure.
Listen, there ain't no way in hell that if I see a maple Long John with a strip of bacon on it, I'm turning that down.
No,
that's
terrific.
Undefeated. There's no way that loses. That's everything you want in a pastry right there. All right, good job on the emails once again this week. Ryan Day spoke with Urban Meyer. We'll have some of the highlights for you coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
A lot of hosts have been on our airways in the past 30 years. Some good, some bad, some really bad. Anyway, sorry for that. The Fan.
Hey, Bobby Carpenter here from Carpenter Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electric. Maybe your furnace isn't running so well. Maybe you need a new tankless water heater, or maybe it's just a leaky sink. Let my team take care of you the same way they take care of all my championship buddies. Check us out at carpentercolumbus.com.
Giant Eagle My Perks Appreciation Day is February 21st and 22nd. We're saying thanks with 3 times the perks on every gallon of gas at get-go Friday and Saturday. Restrictions apply. Visit gianteagle.com/appreciation for details.
Hey, it's Anthony. I got to tell you, when you don't have the support you need, it affects everything. Feet, knees, hips, back, even your mood. I finally went to the Good Feet store, and once I was personally fitted for my arch supports, I felt a ton better. I will never wear another pair of shoes again without sliding in my personally fit Good Feet arch supports. That's because they help me eliminate my foot pain. It's such a good feeling knowing that I can be on my feet and not worrying about I'm going to wake up with low back pain or feel a weakness somewhere. I trust the Good Feet store because for more than 30 years, they've helped thousands of people just like me get back to feeling comfort on a daily basis. They take pleasure in that. And it's their personal 3-step system designed to support, balance, and strengthen your feet that guides them into their ideal position. I'm the proof. I wear them every day, even when I'm biking at the gym. So go in, take the free test walk at the Good Feet store on Polaris Parkway and on Stringtown Road in Grove City or goodfeet.com.
Hey, it's Leslie from Pella Columbus.
I'm Wilson from that other window place.
Wilson, people are officially going crazy over our sleek, black framed windows. They change the entire look of a home.
Leslie, nobody believes that just black frames can change the look of a home.
It's like when Superman put on his black framed glasses and became Clark Kent.
Wait a second. Clark Kent is Superman? Are you messing with me right now?
Get the window that homeowners rated the leading window brand in Columbus at PellaColumbus.com.
Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter. And everybody's had these pains, these little nicks, these things that you maybe had an injury when you were younger and you thought it went away. And then all of a sudden, as you get older, it starts to creep back. Doing everything, walking up the stairs, doing your favorite activities, golf, skiing, whatever it might be, the summer, the spring, the winter, it hurts. Hey, do not deal with it any longer. The hip, the knee, the shoulder, the back, whatever it is, there's good news. Go to QC Kinetics. They're groundbreaking treatments for that arthritis pain. They're going to make you feel better. The long-term relief, it's now possible. They're right here in Columbus under the leadership of Dr. Ray Tesner, founder of Grant Sport Medicine and a classically trained orthopedic surgeon. Don't wait. Make the call today. My dad and I did. His knee's starting to feel better. My knee feels better. They've got PRP treatments. They can change your life. I'm telling you right now. So go to qckinetics.com/Columbus for your free consultation or give them a call at 380-208-4544. It's not going to go away on its own. They've got 2 offices in Dublin and Gahanna, so check them out.
If you miss a little, you'll miss a lot. Search for your favorite fan shows wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe. Every episode comes right to your phone absolutely free. Modern technology, it's a hell of a thing. Do it now. The Fan.
Hi, the Scott Antique Markets are back again at the Ohio Expo Center, featuring hundreds of vendors with collectibles and merchandise from all over the world. The market is 1 weekend monthly, November through March. Build your family heirlooms. You can find everything that gets old. Just take I-71 to exit 111 to enjoy America's favorite treasure hunt. Visit thescottantiquemarket.com for more information. Come join us at the Ohio Expo Center for the Scott Antique Markets. It's huge. It's the Scott Antique Markets this weekend.
And now, Public Education Matters with Ohio Education Association President Scott Tomorrow.
Ohio's public school students deserve the opportunity to thrive, to get a world-class education that inspires their curiosity, imagination, and desire to learn, to have the supports they need to succeed in our classrooms and beyond. Our public schools must have fully funded resources to meet our students' needs. Tell your lawmakers to support public school funding.
Public Education Matters, brought to you by the Ohio Education Association.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Be careful if you are hitting the roadways today. We are looking at a few icy spots out there. Today's high temperature will be around 20. Heading into tomorrow, it'll be a little bit warmer with a high of 30. We will be looking at a mostly cloudy sky. It'll be sunny both Saturday and Sunday. Temperatures will be above freezing. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with your 10 weather impact forecasts on 97.1 The Fan.
If the sound of another man slammed against plexiglass turns you on, you've come to the right place. Proud to be your home for Jackets hockey. The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Find us on YouTube. Search WBNS Radio and you can see what Bo looks like. But only if you subscribe. This is Bishop and Friends.
And we are sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. Wedding weekends tomorrow, Saturday. Enjoy it, kids. Crush it. Fellas, while they're looking at the diamonds, slip over to the watches. You scratch my back, I scratch yours maybe a little bit. Just a piece of advice. Ryan Day was on Triple Option, Urban Meyer's podcast this week. Myriad topics. Really good listen. Recommend it. We'll play a little bit of urban, too, in terms of the college football playoff moving forward. And that's kind of been a topic of the show today is as Sankey and Petiti are trying to decide what the future of this looks like and throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall to see what sticks, there needs to be conversation with coaches. There needs to be conversation with players about what is the best way to do this, make the most money, but also keep the integrity of the sport and keep the health of the teams and the players going forward, and not to do too much. Ryan was on Triple Play, was asked by Urban and the fellows what the college football playoff needs to do differently. Let's start with Ryan on the focus being on the players first and foremost.
The experience is something we really got to learn from. I think that the player experience can be much better. I think that the focus needs to be on the players. And I think we need to look at a lot of it because, the national championship is not run by a bowl. The other ones are, but even the ones that are run by a bowl, as you guys remember, there used to be events. There was a lot that came with that. Now that's no longer the case. It's just like being on a road game, except you're there a day earlier, but there's no events. Like nobody going on any events. Nobody's leaving the hotel. I think that, we need to consider moving the hotels outside of these big cities because we're not going to these events anymore. So I think being a little bit more secluded and looking at some of those locations is just better for everybody, especially for the players again. And I think that, we need to pour into the players. I mean, these are the guys that are doing the work. So I think that we need the best food there is that could possibly be served to these guys. I think it should be the best conditions. I think we should try to find as many mementos for these guys that possibly can be done. Just little things that money can't buy, but it stays with them forever.
Boy, how do you thread that? He makes good points. I mean, you think about it. They went the path from Los Angeles to Dallas to Atlanta. The Rose Bowl, I mean, and I hadn't heard that before, but the Rose Bowl and I was curious, like, are they going to do all of the stuff that they do historically at the Rose Bowl? And it sounds like no, that they didn't. They did some of it, and maybe that was it. I think threading that needle, I'll tell you, the first thing you got to do is you got to get away from these bowls, and you can't be beholden to them. Not for a schedule. You cannot. They have long-standing hotel partners. He's exactly right. Like, you don't need the Ohio State football team staying on Canal Street and the corner of Canal and Bourbon. Like, you don't need that. Like, they don't need to be there. Like, these are coaches used to always say, it was cliche, these are business trips. That's the way that this has to be. You have to treat like the NFL. When the NFL goes to Vegas, they don't stay on the Strip. They stay out. Because you don't need the distraction of it. And I think college football has got to find that sweet spot to it. I don't know how you do that. And Ryan talked about also creating those mementos. I'm not sure how you do it. The thing that was one of the more awkward things that happened in the college football playoff was when you would beat Oregon or you would beat Texas, and the guy running the Cotton Bowl or the Rose Bowl would come up there and say, "You're Rose Bowl champions or you're Cotton Bowl champions." You're like, okay, who do we play next? Okay, great. So that was always such an awkward thing at the end of all of this. Trying to thread that needle is something I think they missed on a lot. And if you listen to Ryan in that statement, I think he probably corroborates that.
But we talk all the time that we feel like Ohio State should flex its muscle a little more sometimes in certain situations. If you're the CFP and you want these things, don't you go to these bowls and say, listen, this is what we want. If you don't want to conform to that, then you're out. You're not getting a national semifinal, or you're not getting one of these CFP games. Isn't that a pretty easy way to get them to do what you want them to?
You know why they won't, though? Because the bowls treat administrators really well. They really treat them good. I'm talking about suites, penthouses, all food on us. Marriott points out the wazoo. Like, they treat administrators really. It's a vacation. You're an administrator at Big State U, and you go to the Rose Bowl. You go to the Fiesta Bowl. Those two, and obviously Miami, those three are a little different than even New Orleans. I mean, that's a vacation destination. You're eating. You go to the Sugar Bowl and play in that game an administrator, you are staying in a suite. You are staying in one of the great hotels, and you are eating at Commander's Palace on the bowl. You're eating at Armand's that's on the bowl. Not coming out of your money. It's a paid vacation. So that's the problem. That's the whole problem of the whole sport, is it runs head to head with what you're trying to do. So you want to keep all the benefits of the old, but you also want all the money of the new, and those two things just don't jive. Ryan was also asked by the fellas about changing the seating in the CFP. Here's what he had to say about that.
It was clear this year that the automatic buys, were a little out of whack. When you see kind of how it all shook out, I think they need to rethink that. I understand, why in the first year it was done that way, but I think that if you win your conference, sure, you should get in.
Yeah.
That you get a bye, I think that's a little much. I think
they should go to the top 4 seeds.
That's right.
Yes.
And rank those guys from there.
I just think get rid of the buys solves all of it. Just go to 16 and eliminate the buys. If you go to 14, the 2 buys will go to the Big Ten and the SEC teams that win those 2 conferences. But 16 just eliminates the buys for everybody. Did the buys benefit anyone?
No, all 4 teams.
They all lost.
All lost.
Yeah. So I don't know if there was a rust. That's the other thing with that long wait they had before getting this thing started. You play a conference championship game first weekend in December, then you don't play, in the case of Georgia and the other teams that got buys, you're not playing again for a month versus a team that like Ohio State, which got to play a game on campus. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that needs fixed on this thing. One of the things that I'll give Urban a lot of credit for, and he was vocal about this when he coached here and actually got things done. In 2014, he got things done when it came to the stipends that were delivered to players so that the families could travel. It's something that it's still bothering him today. Here's Urban Meyer from Triple Option, his podcast on that side of it.
You know, you cracked me up when you said, you know, about the player-centric on those trips. And I mean, they're getting paid now, so it's a little bit different. But back in the day, I got so pissed off. We're playing Alabama, and I look out. I just look out the plane. I see who's coming on the plane, and there's a majority of them. I have no idea what they do. No, and I mean, all of a sudden I see their kids and which is fine. I mean, that's none of my business, but that's. And then I remember talking to Hireman or talking to some of our players that just put in. They did not get a day off. There was no day off from July. You know, remember they used to go away for the summer? Now there's no days off. I went through the calendar with their players one time. The only time I gave them a week off for spring break. That was it, when they're really off. And so we play Alabama, and I remember I'm walking up to the podium, and I'm thinking about the majority of families can't afford to go to a Big Ten championship game, to a playoff game, a national championship game. They can't afford that. Yet I'm seeing the assistant AD to the assistant AD to the assistant AD, the assistant to the conference commissioner to the assistant, you know, all these people. And I'm looking at my boys over there, and their freaking parents and uncle or sister can't go to the game.
Yeah.
And I walked up on the podium, and for 10 minutes, they kept asking questions. I said, no, we got to change this. And they did. They changed. They gave them, I think, $2,500 for a fan, which is still not enough.
Yeah.
But I think that's a great point. I think that's your job. You know, I'm not preaching to you, but you got to push that, man. I mean, you got to push. It's got to be reasonable. But the player and their family has got to be number one, and then let's kind of start filling in the blanks after that.
Urban in that answer just gave you all the problems with it. The bureaucracy at the top that gets the vacation and trying to make the more money, all the while the leverage falls and the weight of it falls to the player. So he gave you everything that you're dealing with right now. At least you're getting paid now, so that changes it. But it's a slippery slope for college football. We'll tackle that slippery slope with our buddy Paul Finebaum coming up next. 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Welcome to Nada Yada Island.
Next on Metro's Nada Yada Island podcast.
I almost fainted when the 4 new bombshells arrived. 4 free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G phones at Metro.
No way.
And finding out the 4th line is free. Oh, things got heated.
That's wild. Join Metro and get 4 free Samsung 5G phones. Only at Metro.
Plus tax. Bring 4 numbers and an ID and sign up for any Metro Flex plan. Not available currently at T-Mobile or been with Metro in the past 180 days.
Come cheer on the Ohio State Buckeyes men's basketball team as they take on the Northwestern Wildcats at the Shot on February 20th. Don't miss out on themed games, unforgettable fan experiences, and the ultimate Buckeye traditions. Buy your tickets and gear up for game day at ohiostatebuckeyes.com.
Bands are us when dreams don't end. Bands are us.
Right now, get $1,500 off a shower or tub replacement or $3,000 off a full bathroom remodel, plus low to no monthly payments. Call 380-225-BATH to schedule your free estimate or go to bathsareus.com. 380-225-BATH.
Bands are us when dreams don't end. Bands are us.
Get President's Day deals all month long at Coughlin Ford. Get a new 2024 Ford F-150 for as low as $37,900. New 2024 Ford Super Duties starting at under $48,000. Or take $10,000 off MSRP on select new 2024 Broncos. Visit CoughlinFord.com.
All factory rebates to dealer. All prior sales excluded. In-stock units only. No security deposit required. Residency restrictions may apply. See dealer for details. Ends 3/3/25.
Let me introduce y'all to my canes. We got chicken fingers. They hit the spot, baby. Fries are golden crispy, Texas toast crunchy, and they cane sauce creamy rich. One love.
Want to know anything about the Fans contest, how to win, or what's up for grabs? Check out 971thefan.com. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
The The best hair on the air. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Indeed you are, and on a Thursday at this time, we always head out on the Bryant Heating Cooling Systems fan guest hotline, talk to our good buddy Paul Finebaum, the Paul Finebaum Show. ESPN and the SEC Network joins us there. All right, Paul, how are Sankey and Petiti, and we're going to go into some of the details that came out of this powerhouse meeting that we had, this summit, if you will. How are they going to thread the needle on, God, we got to keep making more money, but at the same time, we got to make sure that kind of what always made college football special is still there. Is that a needle anyone can thread?
I think that is the most difficult challenge. I think that's one reason why you saw the idea of Big Ten, SEC non-conference games scheduled, because they're really putting some serious rivalries in danger. Number one, the SEC is going to 9 games, which it's long overdue. But it also makes about half the league uncomfortable because they're the bottom dwellers, as you know. So I think basically college football as we know it, Bo, is over. They're just trying to put the prettiest face forward, but it's like it's very difficult to do.
Yeah, it is. And when you think about, I see this reporting out of the Athletic, Scott Docterman, who we've had on a bunch, and some of the reporting in terms of this notion of taking championship weekend and reinventing it and have it be 3 versus 6 and 4 versus 12. And then the SEC having a conversation about a more radical idea with 1 versus 8, 4 versus 5, 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6. Buddy, I remember the look on Kirby Smart's face standing next to Sankey going, let's think about what you guys just put me through, and then saying it out loud on a microphone. How do you do that? Now you're adding 4 more highly leveraged games to your league before they even get to a playoff?
Well, I think it is an absolutely laughable proposal, and I don't think it will go over because of exactly what you just said. Think about Kirby Smart for a second. Nobody wants to feel sorry for him, but he played last year at Alabama, at Texas, at Ole Miss. He also opened the season against Clemson, which was a playoff team and the ACC champ. So, and he finished the season against Georgia Tech in 18 overtimes or whatever it was. So, yeah. I don't think that will go over. They're trying to preserve championship weekend, but I don't think they can if they go to 14 and ultimately to 16. I mean, they're just throwing things up against the wall right now. And quite frankly, I am with a lot of the public that really don't like what's going on. I think for self-preservation, though, the Big Ten and the SEC had to take the hand of the ship because it was about to sink.
Yeah, I might be a little bit like the Titanic. You can do all you want, but there might not be any saving it. What is it about championship weekend? And I'll be very candid with you that this isn't reinventing the wheel for you. I know that, but it does matter. That championship game in the SEC, it matters more than the Big Ten does. Now, some of that is because it's usually been Ohio State, Michigan, or somebody against a Big Ten West team that's very underwhelming, and so the matchup isn't quite as glamorous as what you've gotten out of the SEC for all these years. But why are Petiti and Sankey so adamant about hanging on to that weekend?
Well, I know from the SEC standpoint, it's the highest rated game of the year, so they don't want to lose that. But I was in Atlanta this year. And it just didn't feel that big. It was Georgia and Texas, the 2 best teams in the league, but we'd already seen the game and what was billed as the game of the year, even though it wasn't. And there were empty seats, and Texas fans were like, we want to show up because we're told this is so great, but it really wasn't. And I think some of it is just old-fashioned. You have all your sponsorship events going on and the activations, and but from the beginning of the game until the end, until this year, it's lost a lot of value. It's marquee because it happens on a weekend when there's much less football than normal. Yeah. But I think now, I really think it needs to go. But don't fight to keep it. But it will not work playing more. Nobody wants to play any more games.
No, they don't, and they're going to have to based on. I understand like this. There's this juxtaposition of we have to make all the more money that we can every time out. We got to get more and more and more, but also just running up against it a little bit when it comes to that. Do you think that it is necessary for the SEC and the Big Ten to have it in writing that they have 4 automatic qualifiers?
I don't know. I think that's what they're going to get, and I think the trade-off was for the SEC to commit to the extra game, the extra conference game. I think they wanted some protection, but I really don't like it. To me, it takes away from really what the sport should be about. And while the SEC and the Big Ten are fighting for this year to get the group of five and all the other the top four teams rearranged, so we actually have the best teams on the list. Then here we go right back to the same thing. They're asking for special dispensation, and I think some years it won't make one bit of difference. But hey, what if the Big Ten only has two good schools? It's possible, isn't it? Maybe three. You're going to get it's just like the Big Ten championship game in the past, where you're going to end up getting Nebraska or Iowa from somebody on the other side who has no business being in the playoff.
No, that is absolutely the challenge of it. You know, the other thing that I don't know why I didn't see any of it, so I didn't see it in any of the reporting. So maybe it happened, it just didn't get reported. But from what I've read, Paul, and you talked to people who were much more close to those conversations than I have, I'm guessing. I'm surprised that there was no conversation of the calendar, and that I see this national championship game in I think it's 2027 on the Monday after the AFC NFC championship game. What are we doing? You've got to get out of that. What are those of us that just feel like we have the comment? I mean, you talk to coaches. The coaches want the calendar fixed. Why is that being ignored?
I just think they're stuck. One thing I want to hear from are the coaches, and they did a very good job of getting the Big Ten and SEC coaches in there on Monday without anyone really knowing. Yeah. We even talked to a reporter who said, "Can you not mention this?" And I'm like, going, "What?" I mean, that was part of. They really wanted those guys off the radar. So I think a lot of the reporters got there after the coaches were gone. But I think that's where the action is right now. To talk to these head coaches privately, and I know you've got relationships that can get information to find out what they really made out of it all, because there's no way these coaches liked what they heard, and that's really the complaint. I like the fact that the Big Ten and the SEC are talking, because the ACC and the Big 12 are really like little puppies trying to get attention, but ultimately it's really a mess, and I know that I'm being charitable with my words because I don't want to curse on early morning radio, but I don't even think Sankey and Petiti can save it, but I mean they're just trying. They're living day to day right now in this world, but college football is coming apart at the seams, quite frankly.
Yeah, Ryan Day had some comments, and he said this a lot up here after winning it, that hey, we've got to find a way to make this some changes for our players. We can't. We're flying into big cities and staying in the middle of cities, and it's like, why are we doing this? We got to get out, less distraction. Meantime, the Bowls they want to do the bowl stuff. You go to the Rose Bowl, they want you to go have 50-pound steaks in Beverly Hills because that's what they've always done. And it's like, well, what are we doing? I think the most awkward thing of all of this thing, when I look back on the playoff, Paul, is when you would see like the Cotton Bowl or the Rose Bowl, like boss guy wanting to celebrate winning a Rose Bowl, and Ryan Day's going, well, I got to play Texas in 10 days.
I spoke a couple of years ago, Bo, to whatever the Bowl Association is called. Yeah. And those were some of the most miserable looking people I've ever seen, because I mean this was as the playoff was beginning, and they knew it was over. That was a couple of years ago. I cannot imagine what those people look like now, because even the good bowls are irrelevant, especially when if they add more schools, and they're going to. It's right now when they go to 14 and when they add the other two, and more than likely they'll just go ahead and do it for the 26th contract.
Yeah, just get to 16 now. One other thing that I thought I got a little chuckle about was Sankey's comments about, well, now we're going to have this meeting with everybody else, and it's got to be unanimous. Come on. Isn't this Petiti and Sankey saying, hey, this is what we're going to do, and you're either in or you're out?
Yeah, I mean, he's alluding to trying to change it for this year, which does have to be unanimous. But, yeah, I thought Sankey's most hilarious comment was, hey, I was in favor of the 14 playoff. I didn't want to expand. Of course, no. I mean, listen, these guys, and I also love that Sankey also said, we want to be thoughtful about our partners. No, they don't. No. They don't care what Jim Phillips thinks or Brett Yormark. If they did, they would have invited them to the meeting in New Orleans.
Yeah, Commander's Palace has tables that seat more than two, my friend.
They do.
You can get a lot of people at those tables down there.
Back room.
Yeah, you can do the back room as well. Always enjoy the conversation, buddy. Thanks for giving us some time today.
Thanks, bro. Talk to you soon.
All right, there he is, Paul Finebaum, the Paul Finebaum Show on ESPN and the SEC Network, joining on the Bryant Heating Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. We'll hit a little thing or not a thing up next. Bishop and Friends right here on the Fan.
If better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today. You can find Active Liver at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
The Ohio State Coaches Daily Show is brought to you locally on the Fan by Credit Union of Ohio.
This is Jake Diebler Show, brought to you by Encova Insurance. This week you take on the Northwestern Wildcats, a team that certainly I know you have a lot of regard for, especially for what Coach Collins has done there, Jake.
Yeah, phenomenal coach. What he's done at that program here, especially in the last 4 or 5 years, it's been historic for that program. And I just have a ton of respect for him. They've certainly been dealt their fair share of injury problems, and he's got his team competing every single night out. So I just got a great deal of respect, and it's a really important game for us, and we got to put our best foot forward.
Okay, we'll have another comment in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Archie Griffin, two-time Heisman Trophy winner. The right coverage can be a game changer, both on and off the field. That's why Encova Insurance and their local independent agents are prepared for what's next and protect what matters most to you. Whether that's your home, car, business, or family, Encova's got your back with a policy that fits you perfectly. With local independent agents in your neighborhood and innovative insurance products that can be tailored to fit your unique needs, Encova's playbook is an easy win for your peace of mind. You can trust their team of agents to develop a strategy that's just right for you. And it's not just X's and O's. Your expert agent will guide you and provide insurance solutions so you can confidently manage your risk and count on a financially secure future. For auto, home, and business insurance, you want Encova on your team. Visit Encova.com today to find an agent near you. Encova is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks!
Now, the officials have been talking for quite some time.
All righty, let's see what they have to say.
Upon further review, there is no penalty on the play. However, we have conferred and discovered that Bob, the line judge, has saved a boatload for his kids' college using Ohio's 529 plan. It is tax-free, accepted nationwide. Bob recommends we all go to collegeadvantage.com. First down.
Well, that's not entirely unexpected.
Classic Bob.
At Ohio State, we are the never afraid to innovate teams and the improve people's lives teams. Together, we are the Ohio State University.
Jake, not looking past the Northwestern game, but you're getting ready to embark on that long West Coast trip that everybody else has done. Solicit input from other coaches or other people about how to handle a long trip of two games kind of in the same area?
Yeah. I've reached out to a couple people. I've talked to Coach McGuff, who made a similar trip, and had a conversation with him when they got back about things he maybe would have done differently or would have adjusted. So gathering information is important. I mean, obviously we know our guys and know what they need, but certainly open to hearing how others have done it before us.
This is the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, basketball fans, Credit Union of Ohio wants to help you score more by making life more affordable. It's time to play with a team that helps you win every day. Credit Union of Ohio's loan rates have dropped to provide affordable financing for the things you want and need. It's time to reevaluate your current loans and consider refinancing with a team that cares about you. Check out current specials and get started scoring more money at cuofohio.org. That's cuofohio.org. NCUA insured, equal housing lender.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint. With their award-winning waitstaff, great food, fun, and laughter. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind or grab a carryout. Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizza, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen. It's your family's other dinner table. Roosters, a fun, casual joint.
It's a celebration of savings at Giant Eagle. Join us for My Perks Appreciation Days, February 21st and 22nd. We're saying thanks with 500 bonus perks on a single $75 transaction on February 22nd, only at Giant Eagle or Market District. That's $10 off groceries or gas. Plus, earn 3 times the perks on every gallon of gas at Get Go Friday and Saturday. Plus, free curbside home delivery for My Perks Pros on $150 orders. Restrictions apply. Visit gianteagle.com/appreciation for details.
At NJM Insurance, we like to think of ourselves as a symphony. We start with a foundation of doing the right thing. Then we layer in dedicated reps whose priority is you. Add in excellent discount programs. And last, but certainly not least, we put our policyholders first. And the reason we don't use jingles or mascots is because it's just not us. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. NJM. Insurance underwritten by NJM Insurance Company and its subsidiaries.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Bo knows many people. He talks to the interesting ones on this show. This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, time for a little thing or not a thing on a Thursday. Hit it, fellas.
Thing or not a thing.
Sponsored by Apex Plumbing Pros.
The Los Angeles Times reported Wednesday USC, that's Southern California, will not host a spring football game this year. The reporting adds, quote, the decision to do away with the exhibition comes as the major college football landscape continues to evolve at a rapid pace. Big Ten rivals Nebraska and Ohio State also moved to cancel spring games, and it's likely others will too. In lieu of a spring showcase, USC is planning to host 2 new events intended to give fans and former players a chance to engage with the program. In the spring, USC will host an event for former players on campus, and plans are in the work for a fan appreciation event this summer that will be held in addition to the Salute to Troy. Thing or not a thing?
Bit of a sad thing, an obvious thing, an inevitable thing. I think when Matt Rule said the quiet part out loud that we're not going to give people a chance to scout our roster, that was part of it. I think a bigger part of it is you're talking about playing 16 games and you're talking about guys getting worn out. And obviously USC didn't do that. They didn't have a run into the playoff. But it's one of those things where I think spring games are going to kind of go the way of like the NBA All-Star game. Like they're just going to be less and less. I mean, spring games change forever. I want to say that the catalyst for it that I remember most, and there could be something different around here that did, but the one I remember was there was a 5-star quarterback out of Pennsylvania named Dan Kendra in the 90s who committed to Florida State, and he was the number 1 quarterback in the country, and he had redshirted at Florida State, and he tore his either Achilles or ACL in the Florida State spring game. And up until that point, Florida State, and at that point FSU was, I mean, they're what Ohio State is now. They were finished in the top 4 in the country 15 years in a row, won a couple of national titles. But from that point on, Bowden put the colored jersey on the quarterback, and they were on you can't touch him. But up until that point, you could tackle him, you could do all of it. And I was like, no, we can't do that. Don't touch him. And then it just started to devolve from there. It's been a long time. I don't even know if I ever remember a spring game here that was like a true game, like you draft teams. I don't recall if there was one of those that ever was, and if it was something that was a series or 2, and then it was done. So, look, around here, 100,000 people are going to go into that place to watch anything that has a Buckeye on it. So I don't know that Ohio State's ever going to totally get rid of that because it's a nice moneymaker for them. But they are and have been changing for a very long time.
I think this is I think this is a wrong thing, Bo. We talked about with NFL preseason games and how that's really the last chance for people at the end of the roster to make a roster, show the team something, all of like that. And I think these games are good for the younger players. I think that they need the reps. I think they need the experience. And I know it's not, it's more of an exhibition type thing, but I don't know. I don't like this at all, and it seems like once one did it, they're all jumping on the bandwagon, and they're all going to do something like this and get rid of it. I just don't. There's nothing that teaches you football like playing football, and there's nothing teaches you how to play in a football game like playing in some semblance of a football game. So I don't know. I don't like it. I think it's taking some reps away.
I think at the very least, what you just said would be something that'd be nice if you could do maybe freshmen and sophomores who aren't, who
aren't Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah.
Speaking of playing football games, it looks like Aiden Hutchinson is getting closer to doing that, as he had a video out on his social media. It was either late last week or early this week of him doing sprints. So it's a good sight for Lions fans. But Hutchinson was on the Squeeze podcast recently and was asked about the possibility of playing alongside one Myles Garrett.
If me and Myles were to pair up, that would be deadly.
I don't know if you've seen anything like it.
I know. I was talking to him. We were at the honors, and we were just talking about what could be, and although it's probably unlikely, I think I would be thrilled to play next to him if it were to happen. But our whole D line would be like just totally elevated, and we would. That'd be a scary defensive line, and we get along too. I think I've seen him these last few years at different things. He texted me after I got hurt, which I don't know. It was just a cool thing. Guys outside of your own team who reach out to you. I think so. I think he's a good dude, and if he does, great. But I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see. But that would be awesome.
Thing or not a thing?
I think the hard thing here is Myles is basically untradeable because of his contract. So I don't think anything's going to come of any of this, and I don't think that the Browns are going to reverse course and decide to trade him after saying so adamantly that they're not. And I do think it could get ugly. I think that's in play too if Myles is adamant. The thing that I just keep coming back to is I've just never seen an NFL player under contract for more years openly flirting with other teams. This was like the LeBron going into free agency first time around with the Cavs, that every time he went to a city, he would remember that he'd go to New York and I love all 5 boroughs and all of that stuff. He would do those type of things. You just don't see this in football.
This would be a hell of a thing if it happened, because that would be a ridiculous pass rush that the Lions would have, and we know that they've upgraded at their cornerback spot as well. So if you have that pass rush with some corners that can guard a little bit, a defense would be looking a lot better than it had. Problem is, Bo, there's only so many pieces of the pie, and the Lions are going to have a lot of guys here coming up soon that are going to be needing some more pie. So I don't know how much longer the Lions can do this, and I don't know how well, like you mentioned, Myles' contract would fit into all that.
Yeah.
Front Office Sports reported Wednesday the 2025 NBA All-Star Game averaged just 4.7 million viewers across all TNT platforms. That's down 13% when compared to last year's All-Star Game. The report further notes this year's iteration was the second least watched NBA All-Star Game of all time, ahead of only 2023, which got 4.6. Additionally, the NBA All-Star Game has now gone through 3 straight years of failing to average at least 6 million viewers. Thing or not a thing?
So what was the USA Canada at? It was 4.4 in the United States. Did I see that right?
Well, I've seen new numbers that have come out that have said that they got up to 10.1 million viewers.
That's Canada and U.S.
So that's
Will
all
Howard's miles per hour.
That's North America.
So, the average...
Your North American numbers, I think, yeah.
The average was 4.7, I believe, and the peak was 5.2 in America.
All right, so this is the average is 4.7, so who knows what the peak was. But I think the thing to remember in all of this is when we talk about, some of these rating wins, especially what's happening in the hockey, to remember that as bad as the NBA All-Star Game was, it's still almost 5 million people. So, and this is the first time they were under 6 in a long, long time after, or 3 straight years now they've been after being under 6. So while it was junk and it wasn't for me, there were still enough people watching it to justify it, and it still did about as well as what was an all-time hockey game in the United States.
It just this is a thing for the NBA, and it's just a continuing thing that their numbers continue to dwindle and dwindle. I'm not sure what the NBA can do right now to
don't limit it to them. It's NBA, NHL, it's Major League Baseball. There's not anything except football that's ascending. And the Kentucky Derby, apparently. Those 2 things. Everything else, hemorrhaging. and trying to hold on. But it's important while we talk about this hemorrhaging to also acknowledge that in a landscape that has 1 billion entertainment options, 5 million is a good number. It's not what it used to be, right? It's still a good number. That's still a win in today's landscape of entertainment and what we're going to decide to watch. We'll hit a little higher, lower coming up next, and we'll get you set for USA and Canada with a little bit of Shelley time at 11:30. Final hour on a Thursday, Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
An encyclopedic knowledge of sports and other random things you may or may not care about.
I think I found my mentor.
Rodman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, HIMS can help. Through HIMS.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at HIMS.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but HIMS can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to HIMS.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
You hungry? You know you are. We got chicken fingers, crunchy, fries are golden crispy, baby. Yo, don't forget about the cane sauce, baby. Ooh, right, it hits the spot. Hello.
Common Man here for Jermaine Lexus of Dublin and Easton. Are you looking for a new ride? And do you want the best experience and service in the city? Yes? Good. Go see my guys at Jermaine Lexus. The all-new 2025 TX is back in stock and arriving daily. Plus, they've got great 42-month leases for the 2025 NX350 all-wheel drive. It started $399 a month. I have been a Jermaine customer for years, even before I started doing the commercials. If you're in the market, please do stop in. Jermaine Lexus, 2 locations, Dublin, Easton, JermaineLexus.com.
We have made our community a very important part of our business. One of the things that many people may not realize is that I was born and raised in Columbus. Our plant is in Columbus. All of our employees are from Ohio. And the community hears about all this stuff. And so the community trusts us.
Visit Rosati Windows by the end of this month and get 35% off all windows and doors.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. Guys, listen up. How many of you out there have been diagnosed with sleep apnea? Maybe your partner can't tolerate your snoring every night. You can't stand your CPAP machine. I totally get it. But the good news is there are alternatives to the CPAP machine. And Dr. Mark Levy is here to change your sleep and your life. Trust me, your spouse will thank you later. Dr. Mark Levy can customize an oral appliance that opens your airways, helps you breathe better, and, of course, stops your snoring. That's the main point. It's quick and comfortable and an alternative to those bulky, loud CPAP machines you always hear about. For over 15 years, Dr. Mark Levy has led the way when it comes to treating snoring and sleep apnea, and now he's expanding his practice to better serve his patients with a brand new location in Marysville. I love Marysville. If you're snoring and not sleeping, you need to call Dr. Mark Levy's office today. Do not delay. Schedule your appointment today with Dr. Mark Levy at 1-800-MORE-SLEEP. That's 1-800-MORE-SLEEP. You can also visit him online at sleepbettercolumbus.com. And now, sleepbettermarysville.com too.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Don't let bad feet stop you from being active and getting healthy this year. Trade in your bad feet for good feet at the Good Feet store.
Common Man and T-Bone here. Bone, did you know that the ESPN Bet Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus has over 30 TVs, 2 massive video walls? They even have recliners, a full-service bar and restaurant, a betting counter, and over 30 kiosks?
I did know that, but I also know that you can reserve a table right now at Hollywood Casino Columbus at the ESPN Bet Sportsbook and guarantee your spot and get some game day swag while you do it. Just visit hollywoodcolumbus.com/casino/sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. Just 5 games remain for the basketball Buckeyes before the Big Ten tournament, March 12th in Indianapolis. Ohio State hosts Northwestern tonight at 6:30. We'll have that one on the Fan with pregame coverage at 5:30. Buckeyes are 7-8 in conference play. They'll head to Los Angeles to battle UCLA on Sunday. The 8th-ranked Ohio State women's squad is at Indiana tonight at 7. Maddie Andrews will have the call with pregame coverage over on ESPN Columbus at 6:45. In the NBA, the Cavaliers start the second half of their season in Brooklyn against the Nets tonight at 7. Cavs and Thunder are tied for the best record in the association at 44-10. And on the ice tonight in Boston, Team USA faces Canada in the finals of the Four Nations face-off. The Blue Jackets are back on home ice Saturday hosting the Blackhawks. CBJ could get Boon Jenner and Kirill Marchenko back for that game. You can hear Blue Jackets hockey and breaking sports news as it happens, all on the Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Connect with the show on X at 971BFS. Jump in our YouTube chat or just send a raven. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
All right, final hour here on a Thursday. Shelly time coming up at 11:30. Get you set for USA and Canada tonight in the big tournament finale in Boston. So I had one of the more. This is an experiment that I was always a little curious about. And what got me thinking about it years ago was how they took Goodfellas and made it so you could watch it on AMC, on cable or whatever. So I thought, well, what is the one show you could never do that with? What's the one show that is, whether it's HBO or whatever, that is just, there's too much to try to bleep out or cut to be able to make it work? And the two I settled on were Game of Thrones. I don't know how you do it. No idea how you could make that even TV PG-13 or TV 14. I don't know how you do it. And the other one was Eastbound and Down. So last night, on the cable guide, bouncing around as I typically do when there isn't anything sports-wise that I got to be locked into, and I come across the True TV tier, which is near TNT and TBS and all the other things on my cable provider, and I see Eastbound and Down. Now, I've seen Eastbound and Down a bunch. It's an all-time favorite series for me. I have HBO. I could very easily watch it there. But sitting next to me is 13-year-old NBC. So I'm thinking to myself, all right, do I expose him to Kenny Powers?
Let the boy watch.
It's kind of what I thought, too. And if ever there was a way for him to watch, if it's on True TV, that would shield some of the more brutal stuff. So I was curious, like, how do you even do it? How do you get through an episode with Kenny Powers on cable, basic cable? How do you do that? Well, as it turns out, apparently, about the only thing that you need to remove from a show to make it able to be watched on basic cable is nudity. So they took that out. So it was the pilot episode. So this is when he's got, the girl's on the back of the jet ski. Yeah, it was the pilot episode. So she's on the back of
in the bar.
All of that. Yeah, all of that. And then it led into the second episode where he pitches himself to Asher Schaefer BMW. So those are the two episodes. So, of course, NBC loved it. It was the greatest thing ever. Like, he could not stop watching it. My wife came down, and that made us all uncomfortable. So the only things that they beeped they got rid of were the nudity and F-bombs. Everything else, and I do mean everything else, they let go.
Wow. Because that first episode, like, they don't ease you into that.
No, it's shot out of a cannon. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this is crazy that this is just available. It was 9:00 at night, so it wasn't like it was midnight, but they did it. So that was the one. That was always the one comedy show. I just couldn't see any scenario you could make that any way appropriate for basic cable. I didn't think there's any way you could bleep out all of the stuff that you could, mosaic all of the nudity. I just didn't know how you could do it. And they did it, and I would tell you they did it, quite honestly, kind of half-assed. It was pretty wild what they let get through the censors.
So are you going to let the boy watch episode 3?
He's so excited. Yeah, he was so excited. He thought it was the greatest thing ever. I'm like, I know. It is. It's great. Don't ever show your brothers this. Don't ever show your brothers this.
Because then he starts quoting lines from the show.
Oh, yeah.
And then they start to get interested in, like, what are these obviously hilarious lines? And he's acting like Stevie Janowski, who every time he pops up in a new show, it was like St. Denis Medical on Peacock, and there's Stevie Janowski. And
he was in.
The first thing out of my mouth, like, that's Stevie Janowski. My girlfriend looks at me and goes, who? I'm like, Eastbound and Down. So we might have to do that as well.
Have you watched it? Do you think let the girlfriend watch?
Oh, yeah, I think she'd love it.
You think she'd like it?
Yeah, because she likes Righteous Gemstones.
Oh, yeah, gems. Yeah. My wife likes Gemstones. She does not like Kenny Powers. That was
you're not supposed to like Kenny Powers. No, I love in the interviews where he's like, I was just trying to be the worst human on the planet.
Yes.
That's how he went into that character. Mission accomplished, Danny.
Well, he's screaming at Wade about the jet ski. Do you know what would happen if you dry accelerated this jet ski? You would ruin it. I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, it was everything that you'd want it to be. Cutler, all of it. It's great. But yeah, they did it. Again, I watched with caution, but they did do it, and it was on basic cable, so pretty wild. All right, let's hit a little higher, lower. Hit it, guys.
Bishop and Friends present Higher or Lower.
Sponsored by the Waterworks. Call the Waterworks and Header Heating and Cooling today at 614-232-2222 or visit online at thewaterworks.com.
Oh, baby.
All right, so this comes to us from Athlon Sports as it's silly season, and I thought I'd find something that I think we can all agree or will agree at the end of this is a pretty silly exercise that they did ranking the top 68 college football rosters heading into 2025.
Okay.
Yes, Athlon Sports did this using 24/7 Sports composite rankings of the last 5 recruiting classes.
Oh.
Understanding that we still have the spring transfer portal that may or may not jump some of these teams up or drop some of these teams down. So again, you have the averages, or you have the rankings, and then you have the 5-year average. So very interesting to see kind of what you guys think of some of these teams. But we'll start at number 1. Again, these are 68 of them that they ranked using the last 5 years of recruiting rankings. Alabama's number 1. Georgia's number 2. Ohio State's number 3. Higher or lower for the Buckeyes here?
So one thing that I'm guessing they didn't do is they didn't take – so this would have been in the 23 and 24 Alabama recruiting class. If you take Caleb Downs off of the 23 recruiting class, is Alabama's recruiting class still number 1?
Right, he's credited Alabama here.
That's what I'm saying. And in 2024, Julian Sand was a 5-star, and he would have still been credited Alabama. So if Alabama had Julian Sand and Caleb Downs, then I would say that this is appropriate. I think the Buckeyes roster is better than both Alabama's and Georgia's. I know that the rankings are significantly less, and it's also a reminder of just how absurd Saban was, even at the end when people said he was disinterested, that he went number 1, number 2, number 1, number 2, his last 4 recruiting classes. He didn't lose his fastball at all. But I think what's missing here is the guys who left Bama, because it's not just the guys Ohio State got. There's the receiver at Texas. There's guys at Oregon. So that roster isn't quite what it was signed and intended to be. And I think the other issue I have is so right now Ohio State behind Georgia. I think Georgia's got some big questions, especially at quarterback. I think Ohio State does. I think the team that could challenge them. And again, I know this isn't reflected in the rankings of here, but I think the team that would challenge them most, obviously, is the team that they'll open the season with Texas.
Yeah, the Alabama one is very tough to judge because of how many players they lost when Saban left, and obviously Ohio State benefiting from that with 3 of those players last year, 2 of them for this upcoming season. It's interesting here for Ohio State, and they don't get bumped up too much. But that 2021 class, they were number 2 in the country. Well, those guys are all gone for the most part for Ohio State. They're all going to the draft this year. Ohio State was lucky enough that they had them stay for this past year, but they won't be there for this coming year. I still think Ohio State is going to move up at least 1 spot here because they have to go over Alabama with that. But Georgia's pretty close, I would think.
At number 4 on this, again, Athlon Sports ranked the top 68 rosters based on the 5-year average of their recruiting classes, but they did not include transfer attrition. At 4, Texas, 5, Oregon, 6, LSU, tied for 7th, Oklahoma and Notre Dame. At 9, Miami. At 10, Texas A&M. Higher or lower for the Aggies there?
Probably, I would say lower. I would think that Michigan's roster who's a little bit behind them. Clemson's roster I like more too. Clemson got dinged because their recruiting class last year was bad, but other than that, they're universally better. A&M's one reason that they're so high is because they had the number 1 class in 2022, but most of those guys aren't there. I think Penn State's probably got a better roster than they do too. Penn State's all the way down at 14 on this list. You know the other thing that's alarming here, fellas? 1 through 10, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Texas, Oregon, LSU, OU, Notre Dame, Miami, Texas A&M. Returning quarterback? Is it only LSU?
Unless we want to count Arch.
Oklahoma's guy.
I thought they signed the guy from Washington State.
I think you're right.
Now, Miami, we know.
No, he's not returning. He's not returning. He's not their guy.
He's not returning, but if healthy, we know what Carson Beck is at least.
We think, yeah. A&M, I think, they switched. The kid, Wegman, or whoever started it, they made the switch, so maybe A&M. But Nussmeier's the only one who's started all of last year and returning. All of the rest of these programs, you're right, Arch started games, and it was known that he was going to be the starter this year. But it's not like he's got a whole year under his belt as a starter. I can't remember a time in my time covering big-time college football where the 10 most talented teams in the country, 9 of them are breaking in new quarterbacks. And even if you go down, so Klubnik's back at Clemson, Legway's back at Florida, Aller's back at Penn State, Nico's back at Tennessee. So there you start to get a little bit. It's in the teens where you start to get some guys returning. But at the top of the sport, it's all new, baby.
Yeah, I think what makes this really interesting is because of the portal movement, the extreme portal movement by some of these teams. This is such a tough exercise to do. I want to take your guys' attention to the bottom of these rankings. Again, the top 68 teams in the country were ranked based off their rosters from recruiting service rankings over the last 5 years. At 65, there's a 2-way tie, Virginia and Purdue. At 67, Bo's SMU Mustangs.
Oh, yeah.
At 68 is Kansas. Look for me real quick at 67 with SMU. Their average over the last 5 years is a 68.2 in terms of the ranking for their recruiting classes.
Yeah.
51 and 21, 82 and 22, 72 and 23, 106 and 24, 30 in 2025.
We don't get a whole lot right, but one thing that we got right about SMU was this, that once you invited them to the dance, they could mobilize quickly. They mobilized even quicker than I thought that they could to get into the playoff year one and play for ACC championship year one. But this is just the beginning there. And I do think their combination of location and wealth and all of it, I mean, honestly, if they wanted to be an SEC or Big Ten team, they could be. And they'd hang just fine. Now that it's okay to invite them in, the ACC letting SMU in, even at their own cost, it's a little similar to the Golden Knights being the first team to break the bright glass and go to Vegas. Once somebody let them in, then it's oh boy, we can all live in this world. And I think the same thing could be true with SMU, that they will be the apple of people's eye going forward. They have so much money. The city that they're in is awesome. And this is what they can do. They mobilized quickly.
But one of the things that caught my eye on this list, and it's been not great, but just seeing it just makes you realize, oh my gosh, a couple years ago, USC had a class that was ranked 70th. I never thought that would happen in my lifetime.
They're wayward, brother. Yeah, I mean, we might be we may be having a conversation about USC being a museum program by the time this is all said and done, and I don't know that it's that far-fetched to be able to do so. We'll turn our attention to the Four Nations. It is USA, it is Canada tonight. Shelley time in about 15 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
the only workplace in America to participate in the doorknob fart game. And we also play office basketball and sometimes do radio. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
If you're like most Americans, you've racked up tens of thousands in credit card debt. You're stuck with 20% interest fees, and even the monthly payments, well, they're hard to make. It's insane. Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter. The good news is that there is a way out. AFLcash.com. That's AFLcash.com. Advantage First Lending. They specialize in fast, easy access to the equity in your home. Most homeowners have hundreds of thousands of dollars in their home equity. That's your money. AFLcash.com can get it out for you with zero junk fees and zero hassle. You can pay off all those credit cards in just a matter of days. Pay off your car loans too. Cut your monthly expenses by $800 or even $900. I'm telling you, the relief you need, well, it's right there at your fingertips. AFLcash.com or call 844-394-CASH. That's 844-394-CASH. Break out of the credit card debt prison with AFLcash.com.
Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1209177. Subject to lender approval. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Men, this is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health. The one you love is the light of your life. And if you're like most of us, you want to do whatever you can to nurture your relationship. But if you're suffering with erectile dysfunction, you know the impacts the condition is likely having on you and your partner. ED is a relationship destroyer. It can contribute to depression, distancing, conflicts, and even breakups and divorce. And what's so disturbing about this is that most men who suffer with ED can be successfully treated, but a lot of guys don't seek treatment when they should. At Tri-State Men's Health, we have protocols that are effective in well over 90% of cases. In fact, if you're like most guys, you could be having great sex within a day or two of your first appointment, and maybe find you're performing like you haven't in a long time. So call Tri-State Men's Health today. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com. We have 6 offices across the tri-state area to serve you.
Come cheer on the Ohio State Buckeyes men's basketball team as they take on the Northwestern Wildcats at the Shot on February 20th. Don't miss out on themed games, unforgettable fan experiences, and the ultimate Buckeye traditions. Buy your tickets and gear up for game day at ohiostatebuckeyes.com.
Hey, it's Leslie from Pella Columbus.
I'm Wilson from that other window place.
When you buy from Pella, you could meet Brad, Bob, maybe Mike, or 54 others that make our local Pella team so awesome.
And if you buy from me, you'll get to meet me.
Just a one-man operation, Wilson?
I've got a bunch of cousins helping me, but based on their work, I'm not sure they've got thumbs.
Get the window that homeowners rated the leading window brand in Columbus at PellaColumbus.com.
Bobby Carpenter here for Germain Toyota. Swing by Germain Toyota and ask for Marcello and discover unbeatable deals and a wide selection of new and certified pre-owned Toyota vehicles. Visit them at germaintoyota.net. Germain Toyota on the corner of I-70 and Bryce Road.
Oh, hey, a fan show where you can be the star. Yes. Sundays at 11, it's the new Fan Call-In Show presented by ESPN Bet at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Your calls, your tweets, your voicemails, your opinions. You could be a homer, a hater, or whatever you want to be. Your family may not listen to you, but we will. The Fan Call-In Show presented by ESPN Bet at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Sundays at 11 on The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Ohio has over 920,000 diabetics. If you are a diabetic, take a step in the right direction by having your feet checked routinely by a podiatric physician, the most qualified doctors to care for your feet. Adding a podiatrist to your healthcare team can help you better manage the effects of diabetes on your feet. Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association podiatric physicians are located throughout the state. For more information or to find a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association near you, visit ohiofoot.org.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy real estate as is fast for cash. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family. I even buy my tenants won't pay me the rent houses. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
We are looking at a cloudy and dreary Thursday. A few snow showers can't be ruled out. Be careful as there will be some icy spots on the roadways. Today's high temperature will be 21. Cold tonight with a low of 16. Mostly cloudy tomorrow, high 29. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with your 10 weather impact forecast on 97.1 The Fan.
The Big Nine was a sad, incomplete place. Enter Ohio State. The rest is history. The Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
The Fan. First Friday miracles are always better with Uncle Bo. This is Bishop and Friends.
This was a bit of an alarming story yesterday that came across my attention. I'll just read it straight. An asteroid gaining notoriety for its potential to collide with Earth in 2032 was estimated Tuesday to have roughly a 3% chance of striking our planet, the highest probability ever assigned.
Well, we were due, right?
So, all right,
living fat for a little too long.
This thing has, if it's at the high end of its size, it is a metropolitan city killer. So you got that going for you, which is nice. I mean, here's my thing. So, all right, so NASA has found this thing, and this has vacillated from 3% chance to 1% chance, and kind of where it is. This is what I think is interesting. According to NASA's Center for Near Earth Object Studies, so they got rocket scientists looking at near Earth object studies. That's excellent, fantastic. Don't we also have Space Force now?
Yeah, if you're telling me you're getting percentage chances of asteroids coming in 2032, I need more answers on UFOs then.
Well,
I need you to clarify what you've seen, because this feels like you've got the technology out there and you're using this to distract us from Mulder and Scully.
I'm going to tell you this. If the answer to solving this problem is to go find a bunch of drillers and train them to be astronauts, let's get going on that now. Let's get that sorted out right now. Let's get that moving, because the last time this happened and we had drillers trying to become astronauts, it seemed pretty haphazardly, and they had to do it in a couple of weeks. Again, at that time, I don't know why you didn't train the astronauts to be drillers, but that's a conversation for another day. I think you go that way. You got 7 years to get this thing sorted out. We need a weapon that'll take this thing out. You got a 7-year head start. This thing was first discovered in December, so you've got 7 full years to get it right. And don't be like me with my homework when I was a kid, where I waited till the day of. Don't be looking for drillers the day of and go, hey, we're going to put you on a rocket and you're going to go drill into this thing. No. 7 years, better plan. Go.
Can't we just send a spaceship up that has missiles on it and shoot missiles at it and blow it up?
It feels too risky. Right? The team that Bo's talking of assembling, I think, would make sure that it gets dispersed properly.
That's it. That's why you need the drillers.
Because if you just throw a missile at it, where's it all coming? Is it coming back down to Earth?
How much of it blows up?
Yeah. You got one Manhattan-sized asteroid, then becomes a bunch of little, Dublin-sized asteroids, and that's no good.
We don't want that.
I think that's less damage, though, right?
I'm not sacrificing Dublin Bake. I don't know if you are. Is that what you're saying? You sacrifice?
UA's too high up; it wouldn't get hit, so it's fine.
No, yeah, you're safe. You're safe there. They wouldn't dare touch UA. That was alarming. You got 7 years. I don't know. Get us an answer in the next 7 years. If you're looking for an answer to the question of can the NHL use the Four Nations success to boost the end of their regular season, yeah. Probably will be. There usually is a little bit of a boost when you have something like this in terms of wanting to find more of it. Here, it's going to be fine. You're excited to see this last stretch run to the postseason. You got a game in the shoe, so that's going to help. The return of Boon Jenner is going to help as well. That will be something that'll be very excited about, as it feels like he's getting close. He was available yesterday and spoke to being back on the ice. He's been skating for a while. Remember on that road trip he skated, and it seems like he's getting very close to it. Here he is on that.
Full practice, first time, so feels great to be back in there and doing all the reps and being a part of every drill. So another step and keep going here.
They asked him directly if he'll play on Saturday. Here's Boone's answer to that.
We'll see what the next couple of days bring, but that's my goal. It's been my goal for a while to play that 22nd game right after the break. So we'll see. Keep going with the process and see how the next few days go. But, I feel great. I feel like I'm ready to go.
The one that he's always been pushing for is the outdoor game at the Shoe. It's now 9 days away. Here is the captain on that.
It just so happens that the Stadium Series is in that range, and very excited, hopefully be a part of that as well. But for now, no matter what, I just wanted to come back as quick as possible. And to be, here and after the break and being full-time at practice, it's exactly where I want to be.
Hey, so Boone inching closer. Feels like it's going to be Saturday. We saw Marchenko skating around with kind of some protective to protect that jaw.
Man.
I don't know. They're the toughest dudes ever, man. Maybe put them on the rocket ship. Forget the drillers. Put hockey players on. Shoot pucks at the damn thing.
I mean, that video from him at practice yesterday is amazing, and he's talking.
Yeah.
Like, it literally makes no sense from anything I've ever heard about a broken jaw.
Yeah. No, I remember we had Porty on, and they got some good news on it. Right after that, it wasn't like the wired shut variety. So thank goodness that is the case. There's no question that hockey has benefited tremendously from the Four Nations. I don't know how much there will be a trampoline effect into regular NHL games going forward for the folks who don't already love it, but it has captured the attention, and tonight it will have the attention of the hockey world and the sports world as well. Dean Evanson, it has his attention. He's enjoyed watching Werenski and the Four Nations. Let's have a listen.
Can't watch as a fan because he's playing for the wrong team. So, obviously you zoom in on him for sure, and proud of, him representing, our team and our city, and he's doing what he's been doing all year that I've seen, and he's just competing. He's a great teammate, and it's been a fun tournament to watch. It's a little nerve-wracking when you mid-season and you got these guys, they're playing their butts off. It's fantastic hockey, but it should be an exciting game on Thursday night.
He's finally acknowledges what we've all said, like the risk of it. Like every time Zach's out there, you've got to be just going, oh, God, please, just get through it. Get through it healthy. Dean was asked if he was surprised the way USA Canada started with all the fights. Here was his answer to that.
I've had the opportunity to pull your flag over your chest, and when it happens, you've heard them all talk about it. It's just a different feel, right? It's just you have that pride, and do we want to see guys fighting that are on our team coming back here? No, but do you want to see that passion that both teams presented there? It's part of the game. It's part of hockey, and it happened in that game.
Yeah, it sure did. And it set it off. I don't think you'll see that tonight, but I think you're going to get two teams playing in an 11 for the whole way through. And this would be, I'll ask Jody this in 3 minutes, but it feels like this would be the biggest. Would this be the biggest USA hockey win since the 1980 Olympics? I mean, I understand it's not the Olympics, but it's not like it's a Four Nations, not versus
if it's
World
not
Cup,
it's up there because you get so much momentum going into the 2016 games or 2026 games. Excuse me.
Did we win a World Cup or something like that in like '96? I know we haven't won Olympics since '80.
I think it was because that was some of the things they were talking about was Matthew and Brady's dad, Keith, actually fighting in that game, and the U.S. went on to win.
Okay, I think that's 96.
It was 96.
Okay, it wasn't a World Cup, or was it a World Cup?
It was a World Cup.
It was a World Cup. Okay, so that's the last one on this type of stage that you've had a chance to win. It's been a big win for the sport. There's no doubting that. We'll get Jody's perspective coming up in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
...to...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. member FDIC.
Hey, nice job, Pete. I like those clean lines. Fellas, do we have anyone that can get to Greenport today?
At Corey's Landscaping, the staffing plan is in the weeds.
Anthony, we need that leaf blower over here.
3 more new customer requests just came in.
Who wants to work some overtime?
He needs to dig up quality landscapers and fast. I need Indeed. Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on singlecare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. Single Care works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check Single Care to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to singlecare.com or download the free app today.
These days, it feels like everyone is talking about how the American dream of homeownership has become out of reach for so many of us. Well, Rocket is trying to give us more of a chance to own our homes. They're making homeownership simpler and more accessible to more people, turning renters into owners. Rocket believes that every one of us deserves a shot at the American dream. So, are you ready? Own the dream. Visit rocket.com or call 800-4ROCKET.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Ohio Heating and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep you and your home comfortable. The Fan.
The gloves. Shelly time.
Sponsored by Visit Central Florida. Discover the real Florida magic at visitcentralflorida.com.
It's appropriate that bumper comes with drop the gloves, because that's what happened the last time USA and Canada hooked up in the round robin stage, and it is time for a little bit of Shelley time on the Bryant Heating Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline. Did you think that was in play, the way it started?
No, I actually didn't. I was surprised. Now, there are some people that said, I thought that was going to happen, but I was in Erie, Pennsylvania, my daughter's hockey tournament, and we just finished a game and rushed to this restaurant and had it on, and the whole place went crazy, and it was it was awesome. Especially like some people had mentioned, is it going to be kind of like an all-star game? Are they really going to be into it? Well, that and then some.
You mentioned you watched with your kid. Who are your kids rooting for?
Canada.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. I'm kind of surprised. Now, my son, I think he's, kind of right down the middle. My daughter, when she's sitting with me, it's Canada. So, yeah.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
As you said that, I was thinking, I wonder how they're viewing that. Look, this has been tremendous for the sport, Jode. It has. We've seen the ratings for it. The one thing that I've said a lot on this show, it is both tremendous for the sport and also an incredible risk to put players in this type of high leveraged play in the middle of a season. It's obviously working, but there is a risk to it. Where do you kind of sit on all of that?
Going in, I was very hesitant, but looking at it, I'm all right with it. Not a lot of travel. These are all NHL players that respect each other immensely. There's nothing dirty, you know what I mean? You're not going to see any dirty injuries. They're going to be getting ready for the playoffs here shortly, and this is going to be an all-out sprint to the end. You'd hate for Zach Werenski to come back and have something to deal with. Yeah. He was dealing with something going into the break, but, you just look at the joy and the passion and the emotion and how he's growing as a person. He's around the best players in the world. He's representing his country. I think it's tremendous. I think it's so. I mean, it's easy to say it's worth the risk, but I look at a guy like Charlie McAvoy with the Bruins who got hurt, then got an infection.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, okay, was it handled right? And you worry about that, of course, but I love it. I think it's. I worry a little, but I don't worry that much. I'd rather see them there having fun and competing for their country.
It feels like the juice is worth the squeeze. This has been they've crushed it. I mean, they've absolutely crushed it, and there is a risk to it. But juxtaposed to even what we saw from the NBA and just kind of a struggling with the All-Star, and we've seen that before in our All-Star game and the NHL side of it, where sometimes that game leaves a lot to be desired. This is as high a level hockey as you're going to get.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, when you have the amount of players thinking and playing the game at that level, and you have the players who are top-tier players on other teams playing on third and fourth lines and third D pairs, they're bought in to do whatever they have to do to win. But, this is the highest level of hockey you'll see. You won't see these guys together. Well, next year you'll see them in the Olympics.
Yeah.
But I agree. I mean, it's just the computers on these guys and the way they process the game. And, I mean, it's almost like a video game in a sense that everything is just, you just got to highlight the man and he gets the puck. That's probably, what's that, 1990 Sega Genesis? But you know what I mean.
I do, yeah. It's 94. We made little Wayne Gretzky's head bleed, for crying out loud. Like in the fighting in that, they took that out in the more recent versions. Yeah. McSorley, of course. Yeah. No, there is some. By the way, they made Roenick way too good on that game, but that's a conversation for another day.
He loves it though. He loves it.
I bet he does.
I mean, he was good then. He loves it. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like the best player on the game. All right. This is one of the rare times, and I understand that and I acknowledge it's a very American thing to say. There aren't many instances where Team USA in a given sport is a true underdog. But we've been an underdog to Canada for years. I mean, we've seen Sidney Crosby's record while captaining Canada. Canada is the sport with which the country with which birthed the sport. It's a pick'em tonight. What on the other side of it? What is the energy from the Canada side? Is there nervousness that they can't get this thing done? The type of pressure. I always think of the pressure that must be on Team Canada anytime they go in any of these team versus country competitions. It's got to be incredible.
Yeah, no, it's big, especially in Canada.
Yeah.
Montreal was all Canadian. But yeah, the pressure's high. I still don't think the pressure's on the U.S. I still think it's on Canada, and that's what you're saying. But I look at tonight. I think Canada's going to win tonight. I think they're that kind of a team. It's hard to beat them twice in a row. But now I say that, and my head immediately goes to Connor Hellebuck, the goaltender for the United States. I mean, this guy is like a wall in there. Mm-hmm. He's good. The defense are good. They're playing free. I really like what the USA program has done. The USA program up in Michigan. The kids can go there for their development. All these guys have probably played there at some point. And I would say 90% have made the team in Michigan, which is one team that plays amateur hockey together. They don't have that in Canada.
Yeah.
It's really a unique thing that they have. I think it starts at U17s and it goes all the way up. And, they've really done a good job with development. These guys look comfortable together. I look at Crosby, McKinnon, McDavid. They had them as a line. It was like too many F1s. Like these guys were just, you know what I mean? Like it was like an overload.
Yeah.
There was a surge in the power in the building because they were just eating up all the Wi-Fi, the frequency. But, they got to spread it out. They got to find the lines right. And I think they're still doing that. But I think it's fascinating, too, the coaching. Like, you got Torts and Mike Sullivan back together for Team USA with Quinn. There's just a lot of the stories are incredible. But go back to your question. Yeah, the pressure's on Canada. And they know it. Even though it's in Boston, the pressure's on Canada. This is an entire country that's dug in on these national tournaments. So they have to perform tonight. We'll see what Binnington has, the goalie for the Canadians.
Yeah, that's always the one equalizer, can be that. In terms of so much was made of the United States and the way that it started in the round robin series of games and the physicality and all of that Team USA really thrived on that, and they had that. So much has been made and written about it. You used F1. You could use Hockey Ferrari, however, to describe Team Canada and the amount of firepower that they have. How important will it be in terms of the style of play? Who sets that tone, and how do you think that goes tonight?
Canada wants a skill game by looking at their lineup, Mm-hmm. So, and I would expect that the U.S. comes out and tries to get them on the ground and pound. You know what I mean? Kind of muck it up. Both teams have so much skill, but the Kachuk brothers have been the storyline. Put them together and let them just go out there, the old school Bash brothers. And Canada didn't load up with players that would kind of equalize that. So, it's going to have to be. I want to see a bunch of power plays. I want to see both power play units. Both teams have power plays. I just think it's fascinating to watch these guys try to work the puck. Mm-hmm. But I think USA is going to stick with it. They understand they're going to hit everything and try to intimidate the stars of Canada, and that's what they have to do. And for Canada, if they can get a speed and a skill game and get the U.S. on their heels, they'll have full control of the game.
Yeah, and I think the thing that from an atmosphere standpoint, Montreal was unbelievable. But the way
I couldn't even imagine what that was like. I mean, I've been there for great games. I couldn't imagine what that place is like.
I can't either.
No, I can't. It's just
to start that way, and then no, I can't. I can't imagine. And I have a decent idea what it's going to be like tonight. How many? What do you think the crowd breakdown will be in Boston tonight?
Oh, there'll be a bunch of Canadians there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'll be a bunch there. I've already seen and there, other countries represented too for this whole tournament. But
sure,
I think you're going to see probably 25%, maybe more of that, maybe 35% Canadians there tonight, I would think.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be hostile. I think, it's Boston. They know they know what their role is. I mean, it'll be a heck of a night there too.
Well, I love that part of it, too, that it's Montreal and Boston. I mean, those two teams hated each other in the 70s. I mean, just couldn't hate each other anymore was Bruins and Canadians. So, that part of it's cool, too. They really crushed all of this thing. All right. Give me your breakdown for tonight. How do you think it goes? And I know you've said you think Canada wins. I'm with you. I think it just seems hard to beat that team twice. But what do you think the game looks like tonight? Where will your eyes be to let you know that Team Canada is in a good spot?
Well, I think that if USA scores first, it's going to be a big task for Canada. They're bought in defensively. You have Austin Matthews not putting points up on the scoreboard, but playing tremendous defensively. They have to for Canada tonight. I think they have to get the lead. They have to have power plays. I think that's something USA is focused on is trying to be disciplined against that power play because they're so potent. And for the Canadians, they have to get the puck with speed. They have so much speed. They've got McKinnon and McDavid could take over a game. But when you think of players, say in the minor hockey level, if there was a player that could skate that fast amongst everyone else, it'd just pick everyone apart. But USA is challenges those. They have a game plan on those guys. Mm-hmm. So it's up to the other guys to get things going and get them the puck. So I think Canada takes this game, but it's going to take some things to go right. I think they have to get the lead, and they need some power plays.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be absolutely awesome, my friend. Can't wait to watch tonight. Thanks for sharing your expertise.
We have our alumni fantasy camp starting tonight, so all the campers are coming in, and so we're going to do a reception and throw the game on and watch it together, 35 of us. So should be a good time. 11 alumni. Yeah, should be awesome.
I mean, that could get heated. What's Team USA, Team Canada breakdown of that, Jode?
Well, let's see. I think we're mostly Canadians in the alumni.
Probably, yeah.
RJ Umberger can't make it. Let's see. Yeah, so we're mostly Canadians. So it'll be you probably hear us screaming across the state here if we get things going.
Very good. Very good. Going to be a fun one. Enjoy that. That's a fun night for you, buddy, my friend. I appreciate it. Good talking to you, pal.
All right. Thanks, Bill. Have a great day, man. Thank you.
All right. There he is. A little bit of Shelley time with Jody Shelley on the Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline. We hit three things on a Thursday. Up next, Bishop and Friends right here on the Fan.
Amazon Business offers smart business buying solutions so you can spend more time growing your business and less time doing the admin. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
This Buckeye Football Impact Report is brought to you locally by Credit Union of Ohio and by Hyde Park Prime Steakhouse. On the Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Ohio State football Impact Report.
Whether it's incoming freshman Tavian St. Clair or returners Julian Sand and Lincoln Keenholtz, whoever Ohio State's starting quarterback will be, they'll have big shoes to fill. Head coach Ryan Day says it was a big example set by the departed Will Howard.
That's for sure. But the good thing is, other than Tavian, Julian and Lincoln were able to watch this year and come back. Back on campus, you got to move different, you got to walk different, you got to talk different, you got to be the starting quarterback. That has to be your mindset. It'll be the same message for Tavian. But you saw what a leader is supposed to look like. You saw a quarterback drive a team to a national championship, and the majority of it wasn't what his play was on the field. That was a big part of it, so you got a chance to see that in the preparation and everything. But it's more about how he handled himself in difficult times, how he handled adversity when we lose guys and injuries. The toughness of when it was 4th and 2, you got to get 3 yards. All those things come into play. So there's a great example for those guys moving forward.
This report brought to you by Safe Light Auto Glass on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield. Hi, this is Paul Keels. This Buckeye season, don't let a broken windshield ruin your game plan. Safelite Auto Glass makes it easy to get your windshield fixed with their mobile glass shops all over Central Ohio. They can come to you anywhere, giving Buckeye fans more time for game time. OH? Man, I love that. Schedule at safelite.com. Safelite Auto Glass is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Safelite repair, Safelite replace.
Libman makes a difference. The Libman Mop Crew is a part of our winning team. The Libman Mop Crew makes sure the hardwood is safe and clean for the players every game at the Schottenstein Center. No matter what kind of flooring you have at your home court, Libman has the tools to keep it clean. Our mops, brooms, and brushes are proudly family made in the USA. Visit Libman.com to see our whole lineup and for a store locator. That's Libman.com. Libman, proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
I used to love shooting hoops with my dad, who taught me great lessons beyond the game. He was the one who helped me open my first bank account. He told me, credit unions take care of you like a teammate and often have the best rates. That's why I've been a Credit Union of Ohio member for 40 plus years.
Make life more affordable at Credit Union of Ohio. With great rates on savings and loans, Credit Union of Ohio has been trusted by families for generations. Visit cuofohio.org to join today. That's cuofohio.org. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
For more than 35 years, Hyde Park Prime Steakhouse has been known by Buckeye Nation as serving the best steaks in the city. Our thick-cut, aged steaks have been a staple in Columbus with 3 locations in Upper Arlington, Dublin, and downtown. Hyde Park is proud to introduce our newly added wine room at the downtown Columbus location, where a new elegance in dining will surround you. And coupled with live entertainment every weekend, Hyde Park will be the perfect setting for any occasion or the perfect night out. Hyde Park is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks!
Winter's here, and as the snow begins to pile up outside, you might find yourself dreaming of warmer days, sunshine, barbecues, fishing, maybe even thinking about those home projects you've been putting off for forever. Why wait for spring to start planning? Now's the perfect time to get ahead. With so many roofing, gutter, and siding companies out there, it can feel overwhelming to know where to begin. With over 30 years of experience and a focus on every detail, Newman Roofing makes it simple. As a family-owned business, they're dedicated to delivering an outstanding customer experience from your first phone call all the way through to the final touches on your home. When it comes to roofing, gutters, and siding, trust the name that's been a local favorite for decades, Newman Roofing. Call Newman Roofing today at 614-NEW-ROOF. That's 614-NEW-ROOF. 614-NEW-ROOF, or visit online at newmanroofing.com.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
After putting up with Dom Tiberi for a decade, the broadcast gods gave Bo these two. This is Bishop and Friends.
Saw this in the last couple of days from Jaren Jackson of the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm going to pick up full court. I'm just going to do it. Let's just set a different tone. That's what's going to be needed there. I think what's made the hockey work is the give a damn is off the charts. And I don't know if you could do that on the NBA side of things. We talked earlier in the week about a USA versus world thing. You just would have to select the All-Star game that way, which I'd be fine with. I do think that one would win. I think if you did USA versus the world, I think you'd get a bunch of people trying hard. And I think you'd get some effort. And that's what the hockey has hit here. And I do think the juice is worth the squeeze, but it also doesn't stop me from watching every time Zach's out there with a little bit of apprehension going, God, just get off the ice healthy. Because there's that part of it too. And I can't imagine being an owner or coach, or you heard Dean played him earlier in terms of the emotions that he has going into that. But it'll be a fun one tonight. All right, time for, what do we have on the poll today, Reese?
So the Daily Fan poll asks, who wins the Four Nations Face-Off finale? It should say 100% USA, but 80% of you say the Americans will win, 20% for some reason. Team Canada.
I was curious about that with Jody's kids. Obviously, they're, American-born kids. And I was curious how they were rooting.
Interesting.
Yeah, for sure. But look, this is a fun one. It's the one time when you can hate the folks from up north at least for a couple hours. Other than that, they're pretty damn good neighbors. All right, time for 3 things on a Thursday. Hit it, guys.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3 things.
All right, number one for me. On this day in 1962, John Glenn became the first American to orbit the Earth. When I was at Channel 10, I had a chance to meet John Glenn. It was completely humbling. Knees knocking, nerves, meeting a true American hero like that. And truly, if you think about what they did and the heroism of that day, God, there was something that was special about it. And if it's there's a lot of great stuff on it. There's great books have been written about it. There's some series that HBO did from the Earth to the Moon that are really, really good. Apollo 13 isn't about that, but that certainly is very good. But The Right Stuff is awesome. That movie is absolutely spectacular. It's long, but it tells the full story about all of it. And they absolutely crush it. Absolutely crush it. And so if you're looking for to be inspired of all that is great, The Right Stuff, check it out. You'll enjoy it if you haven't seen it.
First thing for me this morning, Ohio State's made it official with the hiring of Matt Patricia as defensive coordinator, Tyler Bowen, offensive line coach, run game coordinator, Brian Hartline, offensive coordinator, Keenan Bailey, co-offensive coordinator, Billy Fessler, quarterbacks coach, Tim Walton, co-defensive coordinator, Matt Guerreri, defensive passing game coordinator. Day in a statement on Matt Patricia, quote, I have been aware of and followed Matt's successful NFL career for the past 15 years, when he first started calling plays for those outstanding New England teams. I've also gotten to know him, and aside from his creative and understanding abilities as a defensive coach, I think Matt is going to integrate into our program's culture and values, which are the essence of who we are, very well.
My first thing, had an eventful day yesterday going down to the shoe to check out the Stadium Series, and then last night headed over to Nationwide Arena to see the Jeff Dunham show. If anybody doesn't know who Jeff is, he's a comedian and a ventriloquist, and if you have not seen him, I highly recommend you go do so. He does his show without an opener, and he's on stage for every bit of an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours. And he's just up there talking to himself. Sure, he's got dummies on his hand, but it's all him. So anybody that can stand up there and entertain you for 2 hours all by themselves, they got to be a pretty good entertainer.
That takes a lot. Yeah. Yeah. He does all the, does it different ones or is it one?
No, he has a bunch of different ones. He has Walter and Peanut and Ahmed, a whole group of dummies.
All right. Number 2 for me, this saddened me. I saw this morning. So there's a family, an English family called the Broccoli family, which has controlled the James Bond franchise from the beginning. So they do all the production for it. They do oversee all the casting, the making of the films, all of it. I would argue that the best of the Bond franchise, I know this will upset some old folks on this one who will say the Connery years. I actually think the Daniel Craig ones are the best that have ever been made. But I saw this morning that they will no longer have control of the franchise. So Amazon bought MGM Studios and the company that produces it, and so now Amazon MGM will be in charge of James Bond. Hopefully there are lessons here with this, because I think one of the things that Disney really screwed up with the Star Wars purchase was trying to do way too much to the point where it wasn't special when it launched. Keep James Bond. You need a movie every 3 or 4 years. You need an English guy playing it. There's a certain notes that have to be hit. Right now, there's no plan to cast a new one. There's no plan for a new movie. But, boy, that is some IP that has really been crushed through 60 years. Don't screw it up.
Oh, boy. Second thing for me, apparently Jay Monahan, PGA Tour Commissioner, Tiger Woods, Adam Scott are meeting with officials at the White House on Thursday in what the tour hopes is another step in reunifying men's professional golf. Monahan and Scott apparently met with President Trump in early February in an effort to speed up the federal government's approval of the tour's proposed deal with the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund. The PIF wants to inject $1.5 billion into the tour's for-profit entity, PGA Tour Enterprises. There's no word if President Trump or if the PIF governor are going to be part of that meeting today, but this was back in 2023 when they announced the kind of handshaky agreement, and then just cricket since.
Yeah. Real quick before you get to your second bake, I just see this. Steve Sarkisian saying Texas is not going to have a spring game either. So away we go. The dam is broke.
All it takes is one. Then everybody else jumps off the bridge. My second thing, shout out to our morning show producer, Mark the Shark, this morning. Every morning, they, in their last segment, talk about the fan poll, which they make up every morning for us to talk about later on. And during that segment, Mark the Shark basically called our very own Bo Bishop un-American for picking the Canadians tonight over Team USA. Oh, wow. Good for you, Mark the Shark. 1, for listening to our show, and 2, for calling Bo out.
Be very candid and very clear. Not rooting for Canada. It's just they've had a pretty good run against us historically is kind of where that is. Number 3 for me, I took all 18 third-grade basketball players to one of those yogurt places where you get the yogurt and then you put a bunch of toppings on them.
Oh, no.
You have to question your own intelligence with that. But you want to end the season special, so we did. So I took them in there. This is, as a parent, a coach, or anyone in charge of large groups of people, the most terrifying thing that you can hear little kids say is, I dare you. And I heard an I dare you, and the next thing I knew, young Nolan, who had a sundae mounted with gummy bears and chocolate, poured Cheez-Its that he somehow carried around in his pocket. I said, do you always just have Cheez-Its? He goes, yeah, I always have 3 packs of Cheez-Its. I'm like, or Sweeties, or the fish, the cheese fish things. I always got 3 packs of them. So what are we doing? Why are you walking? That's why. I dare you, run for the hills.
I guess I see the vision, and you have the salty, sweet ice cream, but with gummy bears, I'm not sure. There's a TikTok making the rounds. George Pickens saying Aaron Rodgers would be his dream teammate. Silly season indeed, friends.
Here we go.
My final thing real quick, the Buckeye basketball team back in action tonight. Rothman and Ice will talk to Dan Dockich about that Buckeye game coming up next.
You have that to look forward to, which is nice. We're back tomorrow, Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
If you haven't thought about Buckeye football today, I'm sorry to tell you that you're dead. Our condolences. Your home of the Buckeyes, The Fan.
Hey, it's Anthony. I got to tell you, when you don't have the support you need, it affects everything. Feet, knees, hips, back, even your mood. I finally went to the Good Feet store, and once I was personally fitted for my arch supports, I felt a ton better. I will never wear another pair of shoes again without sliding in my personally fit Good Feet arch supports. That's because they help me eliminate my foot pain. It's such a good feeling knowing that I can be on my feet and not worrying about I'm going to wake up with low back pain or feel a weakness somewhere. I trust the Good Feet store because for more than 30 years, they've helped thousands of people just like me get back to feeling comfort on a daily basis. They take pleasure in that, and it's their personal 3-step system designed to support, balance, and strengthen your feet that guides them into their ideal position. I'm the proof. I wear them every day, even when I'm biking at the gym. So go in, take the free test walk at the Good Feet store on Polaris Parkway and on Stringtown Road in Grove City or goodfeet.com.
It's really been amazing, the amount of people that I've had contact me, and the talk is generally centered around QC Kinetics, and whether it's a knee, whether it's a back, a hip, shoulder.
He's always happy to talk about how QC Kinetics all-natural regenerative treatments finally gave him relief without surgery. That's former pro football player Bobby Carpenter.
My message to them is do not wait and push off a week, a month, whatever it is. So if you want to feel better this summer, now would be the time to get in. If you want to feel better in the fall, make sure that you're getting in here so you can go out and play golf and do the things that you love and enjoy.
Spoken by a man who experienced relief firsthand. QC Kinetics gave this former pro athlete back his mobility, his activity, and they'll do the same for you.
Has really helped me in just my general quality of life.
Don't wait. Call QC Kinetics for your free consultation today. QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 380-208-4544. That's 380-208-4544. 380-208-4544.
Hey friends, Beamer here, and by the time that you're hearing this message, I'll be down 50 pounds. That is 50. I recorded this last Thursday when I was down 48 pounds, and yep, I've probably already hit 50 by now. That's how fast Awaken 180 works. Now, how many hours of working out did it take? How many parties did I have to skip? Not that I party anyways, but how many did I have to skip? None. How many injections did I have to take? None. Zero. Nada. I did it by eating to lose weight with Awaken 180. That's it. Just over 2 months, I've dropped 50 pounds without making my life miserable. Maybe you're rocking a XXX like me, size 40 pant. Maybe you're swimming in your XXLs and thinking about what life would feel like in an XL. I promise you, if I can do this, so can you. Awaken 180 is simple. The coaches are awesome, and the results come quick when you're doing it the correct way. It's not only about hoping to lose weight, it's about knowing that you will. Awaken 180 Weight Loss makes it simple. You can get started and see for yourself. Reserve your consultation today at awaken180weightloss.com. That's awaken180weightloss.com.
This is a Craver service announcement. Stop what you're doing and get 10 cheese sliders for a new low price of just $7.99. Your choice of melty American, spicy jalapeno, or cheddar cheese. Only $7.99 for 10 cheese sliders. White Castle. Follow your crave.
Hey, it's Anthony Rothman. This Saturday is the big day at Verizon on Polaris Parkway. Join me 10 to noon as we